So welcome friends to this session number 10, and we are beginning with some sample questions on resource management, which is an important topic there. And there to you, Kuldeep.
Thank you. First question. A project manager is working on a project with a highly diverse team across multiple countries. The project is in the execution phase, and cultural misunderstandings are leading to interpersonal conflicts among team members. What should the project manager do first? Reassign the team members to different roles,
See,
es- escalate the issue to functional manager, conduct a team building workshop focused on cultural awareness, implement a new conflict management procedure. I think C है इसका तो clear.
ये आंसर
ये इसको कॉम्प्लेक्स में मैं काउंट भी नहीं
ये
करूंगा
ये
क्योंकि
कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं है
कॉम्प्लेक्स
हाँ
नहीं है।
ये नहीं
कॉम्प्लेक्स
है
नहीं है,
कॉम्प्लेक्स,
तो बहुत
इसमें
सिंपल
मजा
हो
ही
गया.
नहीं आया कुछ।
उसका
मैं कॉम्प्लेक्स निकाल के इजी था।
नहीं, उसका एल्गो कुलदीप,
एल्गोरिदम
उसका एल्गो थोड़ा सा टफ करो ऊपर, जो रिक्वेस्ट है ना।
मालूम
चलो
नहीं वो
ठीक
क्या
है.
होगा, बट एनीवे ट्राई करो। मे बी एक पे क्यों कंक्लूड करो, दो तीन तो ट्राई करो, देन मे बी।
A team member frequently misses deadlines, affecting overall team performance. The project manager provided coaching and support, but the behavior persists. What is the next appropriate action? Replace the team member, issue a formal warning and document the incident, reduce the team member's workload, conduct a root cause analysis with the team member. ये तो डी ही है इसमें तो क्या ही करना.
डी दिख रहा है ना। सी
हाँ
सिनेरियो काफी अच्छा है, मुझे सिनेरियो पसंद है, बट ऑप्शन बहुत चिल्लर दिए
ऑप्शन बहुत सिंपल
हाँ
है। हाँ,
because
थोड़ा
he
और
could have
कॉम्प्लेक्स है.
complicated that by
थोड़ा,
giving
हाँ,
complicated answers.
उसको
सिनेरियो अच्छा है,
एल्गो में थोड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड लिख दो, है ना।
ट्राई कर।
वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड.
That's interesting.
अभी
Let's
अभी
see.
देखते हैं. 10 वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स. अभी ये
Very
इसने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स. लेट्स सी. A senior engineer who is critical to project success refuses to share specialized knowledge with junior team members, fearing job security. The lack of knowledge transfer is putting the schedule at risk. What should the project manager do first? Escalate the issue to functional manager for immediate intervention. Implement a formal mentorship program that communicates its value to senior engineer. Remove the senior engineer from the project and document the behavior.
बी
Offer incentives for mentoring and update the resource management plan.
ये भी बहुत चिल्लर है। बी।
बी
good.
लग रहा है इसका
बी हाँ
भाई वो उसने वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स करके दिया है, इससे ज्यादा तो.
एक तो फिर
सुपर कॉम्प्लेक्स।
एक कुलदीप, कुलदीप
यस
फिर
सर.
मेरे को क्रेडिट दे दो, तुम बच्चे लोग बहुत तैयार हो गए अभी।
हाँ ये भी हो सकता है सर. ओके. लेट मी रिकॉर्ड इट एनीवे.
एंड सी द ओनली लेडी इन द क्लासरूम हैज नॉट इवन रिप्लाइड। वो तो लेवल और आगे का कॉम्प्लेक्स लेवल के आएगी वो तो पिक्चर।
हाँ
he did. I guess I was not audible.
तो स्वाति, इवन बॉयज आर एबल टू आंसर दिस, सो देख कितने चिल्लर लग रहे हैं अपने को।
नहीं सर.
all right. Midway through a project, you realize that several tasks have been delayed due to unclear resource responsibility. Your team works in a matrix organization and reports to multiple functional managers. What should you do to prevent further delays? Escalate to PMO to enforce clearer reporting lines, conduct a RACI analysis and redistribute tasks accordingly, increase buffer time in projects scheduled to accommodate delays, assign one team member as point of contact for each functional area. ये तो रेसी ही रहेगा.
बी लग
बी
रहा
और डी
डी।
असेन.
बी और डी ना, अच्छा, एटलीस्ट
हाँ.
कंफ्यूजन है। सो लेट मी रीड, आई एम फिनिश्ड विद द ब्रेकफास्ट, सो लेट मी। मिडवे थ्रू द प्रोजेक्ट यू रियलाइज सेवरल टास्क हैव बीन डिलेड ड्यू टू अनक्लियर रिसोर्स रिस्पॉन्स। ये बहुत क्लियर है कि रिसोर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से हुआ है वो। योर टीम वर्क्स इन द मैट्रिक्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड रिपोर्ट टू मल्टीपल, सो देयर आर मल्टीपल पीपल, ऑब्वियसली रिपोर्टिंग इज अनक्लियर। व्हाट यू शुड डू? एस्केलेट टू पी, वो तो गया, वो कोई सवाल ही नहीं। कंडक्ट द राशि एनालिसिस एंड रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट द टास्क accordingly. Looks like a good thing. Increase buffer time, ये तो this is silly. Assign one team member as a point of contact for each functional area. बी ही अच्छा लग रहा है ना इसमें। बी
क्योंकि
बीटा looks
response
to be a better, isn't it?
I think Resi is the document with everyone, so everyone knows what they are accountable to.
So Raj, you are saying as well B for beta is right, correct?
Yeah, BRD.
Looks like that looks to be the good one. Now let us try to say what's wrong with D. Okay, what's wrong with D? पहला तो यार इसमें ना प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर राज वो हाथ धो ले रहे हैं वो. आर यू रियलाइजिंग? आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट राज? Which means that guy is not, he need to get involved, isn't it?
Okay.
He is
The
actually
question is,
creating a delegation in between. So D, I don't think is the right thing there.
okay.
I think B looks to be the good one.
Hmm.
Raj, you are in Canada, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. So, मेरे ख्याल से B for
but
Bombay,
but
beta is good.
Sanjay,
He
you know,
No,
wrote it. He
I'm
wrote
okay
just
with B, but
B is also fine, but D के लिए मेरे पास एक comment है, you know, I mean, as part of project management, you also delegate your tasks, right?
Correct,
है ना?
exactly.
तो और जैसे हमने वो 9 की कीज हमने रखे ही हैं कि that you are already having a POCs, right, for वो
Correct.
functions एरिया के लिए. तो
हाँ,
मतलब ये भी कुछ उसी टाइप का है, राइट? यू आर नॉट, मतलब प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर हाथ नहीं धो रहा है, इज डूइंग, यू नो, आई मीन ही इज अपॉइंटिंग अ POC फॉर दैट फंक्शन.
correct. And that
क्योंकि
is in a
हाँ.
way that part is okay, Shishir.
हम्म.
But ना यहाँ पे primary focus problem क्या है कि that there are two bosses and all that thing. Now point
हाँ.
of contact से वो 2 point वाला and unclear लिखा ही है, unclear resource responsibilities भी लिखा है ना. So तो
नहीं लेकिन
बी
आप
में
शिशिर
देखो
को
एक्चुअली वो
जाके
ना
राज को
ऐड कर रहा है
हाँ.
पॉइंट ऑफ
हाँ.
कांटेक्ट बोला,
रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट
बट
टास्क. एक्चुअली उसमें वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी तो बता रहा है, उसके साथ साथ वो रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट भी कह रहा है टास्क अकॉर्डिंगली. तो जो रिसोर्सेज की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी उनको क्लियर नहीं थी वो शायद उसके साथ क्लियर हो जाए.
हम्म.
करेक्ट. सो
नो,
एंड
बी
शिशिर
पॉइंट बी.
बी बी नो डाउट बी इज बी साउंडिंग मोर बेटर ऑप्शन
मोर
देन
करेक्ट.
डी,
हाँ, बराबर,
है
यू
ना?
आर राइट.
बट सिंस वी आर डिस्कसिंग ऑन डी कि व्हाई नॉट डी,
करेक्ट,
क्योंकि
करेक्ट.
एक जो है, यू नो, व्हेन यू से मैट्रिक्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इट मींस पीएम इज नॉट द डायरेक्ट मैनेजर फॉर दोस
हम्म.
POCs, है ना?
Oh, I'm very happy, Shishir.
Yeah. Good point.
See,
Yeah.
that's what is the point, and that the way you will start realizing the thing. See, he's not the boss. He's very clear here. He's, there is someone else who is the boss. Correct, Raj? Sorry, Shishir. So, yes, you are right. I think B plus D is the answer, which is first B and
हम्म.
then do
हाँ,
D.
फर्स्ट बी है वो, मेरे लिए भी
वो
फर्स्ट
बी
बी
का
ही
जब
लग
तक
रहा
क्लैरिटी आएगा,
है.
then maybe D would go ahead and go ahead and comply the things there. Now, if D was required to be done, शिशिर, तो क्वेश्चन में क्या चेंज करे रहे थे तू? सी मिडवे थ्रू द प्रोजेक्ट यू रियलाइज डिलेड ड्यू टू, सी अनक्लियर रिसोर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, ये है ना ड्यू टू के
हम्म.
बाद वाला ये जो तीन
हम्म.
वर्ड्स है, ये
राइट.
चेंज हो जाएगा तो डी बन सकता है केस, है ना?
हम्म.
ड्यू टू ड्यू टू कम्युनिकेशन इश्यूज ऐसा कुछ अगर होता था तो डी वुड हैव बीन मोर सुटेबल देयर. करेक्ट.
राइट.
वो दो तीन वर्ड्स है ना, अनक्लियर रिसोर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज और रादर 5 वर्ड ड्यू टू अनक्लियर रिसोर्स, दैट मेक्स बी क्लियर विनर देयर. करेक्ट.
यस. यस.
It looks to be the thing. What do you say, Sachin?
Yeah, B looks
More suitable.
more suitable because this is a matrix organization which is having functional manager as a more importance over a PM. And
Correct.
again appointing one more POC under that doesn't make any sense.
And basic problem solve किया ही नहीं सचिन.
Correct.
Unclear responsibility is a problem. One more person there is going to, not going to solve the thing. But I think, Kuldeep, चैट जीपीटी को समझ में आ रहा है अपने को क्या चाहिए एग्जैक्टली. तो
चलो
चलो
ठीक है
तीसरे पे
सही.
चलते हैं. हाँ. यस कुलदीप, यू.
You are managing a highly regulated project with tight security restriction. A critical resource suddenly resigns, and replacing them requires lengthy background checks and compliance reviews. What is the best course of action? Request a schedule extension from the sponsor. Immediate hire a contractor with temporary access. Reallocate tasks and compress the schedule using crashing. Update the risk register and initiate a mitigation strategy using internal resources.
D.
डी
D लग रहा है.
announcement है.
D for Delhi looks to be the best thing here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
You need to
agree.
update the इसे इनिशिएट मिटिगेशन स्ट्रैटेजी वगैरह ठीक है। हाँ डाल दे, लिख दे एक बार, हम लोग फिर भी डिस्कस करेंगे थोड़ा इस पे।
लिख दिया सर,
हाँ
लेट्स डिस्कस।
अब यहाँ पे
ये
ए
हम्म
टेंजेंशियल जा रहा है ना, आई मीन वो छोड़
हम्म
दिया तुम लोग या केवल शेड्यूल एक्सटेंड कर लो, आई मीन यू नीड टू एक्सप्लोर ना समथिंग मोर। तो ये डजंट लुक टू बी अ ब्रिलियंट थिंग
वो
देयर।
कुछ अपनी तरफ से कोशिश नहीं कर रहा है उसको
हाँ
फिक्स
कोशिश
कर।
ही नहीं कर रहा है कि आप हो गया, भगवान का भरोसा है, दैट्स
हाँ,
नॉट गुड। इमीडिएटली भगवान पे भरोसा रहना अच्छी चीज है कुलदीप, बाय द वे। सो हायर अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट विद टेम्पररी एक्सेस, दिस इज डेंजरस। हाँ
हाँ वो सर, वो
हम्म
टाइटली सिक्योरिटी रेगुलेटेड
हाँ वो आई
प्रोजेक्ट
मीन
को
यू आर,
इमीडिएटली नहीं कर सकते।
वो थ्रेट है वो एक्चुअली, दिस इज नॉट द राइट थिंग एट ऑल।
राइट।
रीअलोकेट द टास्क एंड कॉम्प्रेस द शेड्यूल यूजिंग क्रैशिंग, ये कहाँ जा रहा है, ये कहीं और ही जा रही है। दिस इज नॉट राइट। सो डी आई थिंक इज द ब्रिलियंट चॉइस देयर। अगर डी में अपडेट द रिस्क रजिस्टर इतना ही पार्ट रहता तो मुझे पसंद नहीं आता था।
क्योंकि
करेक्ट।
उसके बाद कोई एक्शन नहीं है उसमें।
हाँ while the
हम्म
second part and ये जो है ना, दैट इज मेकिंग हिम एक्शन ओरिएंटेड।
हम्म।
डी का फर्स्ट पार्ट इज ओनली डॉक्यूमेंटिंग ना, डॉक्यूमेंट करने से कुछ नहीं होता, डॉक्यूमेंटेशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट बट नॉट इनफ। करेक्ट।
राइट।
सो
अच्छा, इसमें इसमें अगर ऐसा सिचुएशन हो दैट योर प्रोजेक्ट इज अबाउट टू एंड, मतलब एकदम
हाँ
लास्ट आ गया है,
हाँ
एंड दैट टाइम ये सी वाला काम करता है क्या, रियलोकेट द टास्क, कंप्रेस द शेड्यूल यूजिंग क्रैशिंग? आई मीन वो, बिकॉज अगर उसने
उसमें भी
रिजाइन
शिशिर
डाला
मैं
है। हाँ।
एंड वाला पार्ट निकाल दूंगा, सिर्फ रीअलोकेट द टास्क तक का ठीक है। बिकॉज
हम्म
अब आई मीन इफ यू आर सेइंग इट इज सो शॉर्ट, इट इज इन द एंड, तो आप क्रैशिंग का तेरे को वैसे भी क्या
जरूरत ही
फर्क।
नहीं।
हम्म
मेरे ख्याल से रीअलोकेट द टास्क एंड यू नो अपडेट द कस्टमर अबाउट पॉसिबल डिले, ऐसा ले लूंगा मैं सी। इफ
सर वो
यू नो इफ द
रीएलोकेट
सिनेरियो
की भी
चेंजेस शिशिर लाइक दैट।
रीएलोकेट की भी इमीडिएट नीड नहीं हो सकती है, डिपेंडिंग ऑन की और आपका किस टाइप का रिसोर्सेज है टीम में।
करेक्ट। वो है, वो उसका स्किल सेट क्या है वो भी मालूम नहीं है, बट प्रैक्टिकल में बहुत बार ऐसा हो सकता है कि यू
हम्म
माइट
होगा देखो।
एडजस्ट इट, बिकॉज अभी आप क्या करेंगे, प्रोजेक्ट तो खत्म हो रहा है। सो तो मे
सर
बी, बट you'll have to anyway update Shishir in if you take C as an option, updating customer and sponsor is very important thing,
हम्म।
because delay तो
राइट।
हो ही सकता है।
राइट।
चलो गुड।
एग्जैक्टली।
फोर्थ वन एंड देन maybe we'll stop and start with our journey here on। आज मजा आ रहा है, बट क्वेश्चंस का, क्वेश्चंस आर गुड।
हाँ, तो सर मैं ये एटलीस्ट जो क्वेरी है, ये
हाँ
कीवर्ड से ये सेव करके रख लेता हूँ
और वो
आखिरी।
रिसोर्स का स्केड्यूल स्कोप बदलते चलो,
हाँ,
तुमको
बस वो
मिलेगा बहुत
उसमें
सारा।
फिल इन दी वो कर देते हैं, फिल इन दी ब्लैंक टाइप का उसमें डाल के।
करेक्ट।
एनीवे लेट्स मूव।
Yeah, while developing the team, you discover that two team members from different cultural background are experiencing communication breakdown affecting overall performance. Which of the most appropriate action?
बी लग रहा है।
B.
State
It
the
looks like
cultural sensitivity, which is B for beta, and mediate the discussion. Report the issue to HR. No, replace one of the team. नहीं, B ही अच्छा है. B for
same
B
question.
beta is okay. B beta looks to be द बेस्ट वन देयर। ओके। ये वो स्क्रॉल अप करके वो शेयर वाला कुछ है क्या रे कुलदीप, ऊपर कुछ शेयर वाला बटन रहते हैं, मेरे को याद नहीं आ रहा है वो। हाँ वो, अच्छा ये एडिट दिस कैनवास, कॉपी, कॉपी में क्या पूरा क्वेश्चन एज अ टेक्स्ट कॉपी हो जाएगा क्या?
हाँ, पूरा कॉपी हो जाएगा, ये किया ना सर इधर, ये
हाँ
पूरा ऐसे लिख
वो अटैच करके अपना चैट में डाल सकते हैं क्या?
नहीं,
हाँ मैं एक बार
वो
सर
तो
एक बार
इससे
नोट।
डॉक्यूमेंट ही मांग सकते हैं ना, वो डॉक्यूमेंट बना के दे देगा, आई बिलीव।
हाँ, पीडीएफ बना के दे देगा सर,
हाँ।
नहीं
कि
नहीं,
ऐसा
आई वाज
करके।
जस्ट थिंकिंग दैट ये पूरा ऐसे ही हो जाए तो देन पीपल विल गेट इवन दैट फ्रेज व्हाट यू हैव पुट।
हाँ ये सर ऐसा आ रहा है, कॉपी
वो
पेस्ट कर
कॉपी हुआ,
कॉपी पेस्ट
उधर उधर
चैट में डाल
पेस्ट,
के देखता हूँ।
चैट में पेस्ट कर दो, आ जाएगा वो।
हाँ ठीक है, दैट्स गुड, बट दैट्स इंटरेस्टिंग, आई थिंक इट वाज गुड। सो विद टाइम डिड यू रियलाइज यू स्टार्टेड रीडिंग बिटवीन द लाइंस? रीडिंग बिटवीन लाइंस का
Answers.
एबिलिटी बढ़ते जाता है धीरे धीरे।
Answer
एंड
keys.
यस राज,
Answer keys for those.
आज द की, ओके हाँ,
हाँ
ही
अभी
इज
करता
सेइंग आंसर की।
आंसर कीज।
हूँ। डी का इसका था अपना बी।
हाँ नहीं अभी जारी करेंगे, बाद में करेंगे, बट आंसर की देख लेना एक बार एज राज इज
हाँ
सेइंग, मे बी
बराबर
फॉर
है।
दोस फोर एटलीस्ट। अच्छा ओके, ऐसे टाइप कर दिया तो आता है क्या वो?
हाँ सर,
इवेल्युएशन करेक्ट कहाँ लिखा है क्या?
ये रहा है
तो
जो चॉइस
राइट
की।
की, राइट की वो।
ये मतलब ग्रीन आ गया तो राइट है।
अच्छा ओके, इवेल्युएशन टिक बोले तो इवेल्युएशन राइट, ओके डू टू।
ठीक है सर।
अब
आपका
क्या है,
ट्रेनिंग,
बुक करो एग्जाम कुलदीप।
आपका ट्रेनिंग सही जा
अब
रहा है।
कुछ बाकी नहीं है,
अच्छा।
ट्रेनिंग बुक करो, एग्जाम बुक करो बॉस, अभी बस हो।
सर
इ-
आपको 2 तारीख को पार्टी दे देंगे, बस बुक में अपने हिसाब से करो।
ये शिशिर तू म्हणतो
अच्छा,
काय?
इसमें देखो, अगर फोर्थ क्वेश्चन में
हाँ
ऐसा भी कुछ सिनेरियो पूछ सकता है कि भाई उसने कल्चरल ट्रेनिंग भी करा दिया, उसके बाद भी नहीं हो रहा है, तो व्हाट्स नेक्स्ट?
हाँ, नाउ व्हाट नेक्स्ट कुड बी द इंटरेस्टिंग, चार देख क्या है, चार ऑप्शंस। सो द सिनेरियो गेट्स कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, वो क्वेश्चन कहीं चला गया ऊपर में।
उस केस में ऑप्शंस भी बदल जाएंगे।
नहीं, उसमें
नहीं,
ऑप्शंस, उसके पहले जो बेसिक ऑप्शन है देखो क्या है उसमें।
ऊपर
कुलदीप,
जाना
इफ
तो
यू कैन स्क्रॉल अप।
कुलदीप, स्क्रोल अप टू दैट क्वेश्चन,
क्वेश्चन 4।
क्वेश्चन फोर, हाँ। So now what see Sachin, what he is saying that कि ये पूरा वैसे के वैसा था, एंड और एक आगे में था which एक्शन के पहले he said that after the cultural sensitivity session the issue is not still solved, what should customer do next? तो वो केस में सचिन बी तो देगा ही नहीं वो, अब now you need to
हम्म।
choose between A, C and D, is that's what is Shishir saying, correct ना शिशिर?
राइट।
हाँ, now assign them to two sub team
सी रहेगा
to
फिर।
avoid direct,
सर
report
टाइप
the
करके
issue
देखो
to
क्या।
HR, okay, diversify policy enforcement, okay, in a way वो नेक्स्ट पार्ट शिशिर मेरे को थोड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, रिपोर्ट द इशू नॉट फॉर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्शन, ही सेइंग कि यार तुम थोड़ा ये करो, बट इसमें ये केस वाला प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं होगा शिशिर, हियर ऑनवर्ड्स दैट प्रॉब्लम विल नॉट कम, करेक्ट, सी वाला इज अ गुड फ्यूचर एक्शन, बट करंट वाला प्रॉब्लम शायद सॉल्व नहीं होगा। रिप्लेस वन ऑफ द टीम मेंबर टू रिस्टोर हार्मनी, नो दैट्स नॉट गुड,
I
अगर वैसे ही
guess
करना
A,
है तो देन आई विल टेक ए,
A. हम्म,
देन आई विल टेक प्रॉब्ली असाइन देम टू,
वो
बट
डायरेक्ट
ऑब्वियसली
कॉन्फ्लिक्ट
यू
नहीं
शुड डू
करेंगे।
ओनली आफ्टर बी, हाँ, करेक्ट स्वाति?
ए करने के बाद सी कर सकते हैं कि इमीडिएट इफेक्ट के साथ तो उनको सब टीम्स में डाल दें कि डायरेक्ट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं हो,
नो,
लेकिन ऐसी चीज इन फ्यूचर पे कहीं और टीम में भी ना हो, उसके लिए एचआर की पॉलिसी वगैरह कुछ बननी चाहिए। तो फर्स्ट ए देन सी।
करेक्ट। ये ऊपर जाके कुलदीप ये करना, तू जहां रिसोर्स लिखा था वहां मैस्लो लिख, बाकी सब वैसे ही रख फ्रेज तेरा, हाँ, वो जो है ना रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट की जगह मैस्लो, MASLOW, हाँ हाँ। 10 क्वेश्चन का है कुछ, ये एक आध क्वेश्चन बहुत है।
वो हम एक दो
हम्म।
ही पढ़ेंगे सर इसमें से।
During team, several high performing team member are disengaged and showing signs of they have been compensated well and feel safe in their role, but lack of growth and challenge. Okay, good. हाँ, ये कॉम्प्लेक्स है सच्ची में।
ये है सर
हाँ,
एस्टीम।
सेफ्टी नीड नहीं है, वो फिजियोलॉजिकल से ऊपर चले गए वो लोग,
हाँ
करेक्ट,
नहीं, एस्टीम एस्टीम उनको
और
चाहिए।
सेफ्टी से भी ऊपर चले गए वो लोग,
हाँ,
दे आर वेल
ये
प्लेस्ड।
ये ये भी हो गया है इसका।
तो बिलोंगिंग एंड लव हो गया है क्या इनका?
लव वव तो नहीं लिखा है सर इधर।
They are compensated and they were roll back growth, okay, showing they have been compensated well, which means safety हो गया,
सेफ्टी हो गया है।
feel safe with role, safety हो गया ना, जो फिजियोलॉजिकल सेफ्टी बोला उसने, हाँ, वो दो में, बट लैक ऑफ, हाँ क्या है वो
बिलोंगिंग एंड ये
ग्रोथ
ग्रोथ
चैलेंज,
एंड चैलेंज।
Self
ग्रोथ एंड
actualization is the
चैलेंज,
word.
ओके, मेरे ख्याल से ये सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन है, आई मीन लव एंड बिलोंगिंग में नहीं है ये, बिकॉज देयर
बी
प्रॉब्लम इज नॉट दैट कि मैं सब करता हूँ मेरे को कोई पूछता नहीं है, वो दैट वुड हैव बीन लव एंड बिलोंगिंग,
बी लग रहा है,
आई थिंक बी,
सेल्फ
सेल्फ
डी।
एक्चुअलाइजेशन।
एक्चुअलाइजेशन लुक्स टू बी मोर, बट आई एम वेरी हैप्पी विद क्वालिटी ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन, ये मेरे को भी शेयर करना सो, ओके, दैट्स गुड, सो मार्क करके 1D, और एक करेंगे, Then take second one. The team member had just reallocated the project and struggling with housing and transportation. Okay, they are unable to focus on work there. What should the project manager consider first? Assign the team a low priority tasks, support the team member to resolve personal needs, use the B wala अच्छा लगा, use the
B.
opportunity to test the team members commitment and de-escalate the issue. He is very clear, but
B.
to देखा क्या ट्रिक शिशिर स्वाति राज, कहीं पे मैस्लो का वर्डिंग नहीं है क्या, but this question is on Maslow. Did you notice
Hmm.
that whole theory they have not spoken, but this question is certainly on Maslow. Very clearly, he is struggling with housing and transportation. So poor guy is in the physiological need level. Correct?
Yes.
And B says that unless this is done, they cannot climb up. You can't expect the performance unless they're. So B looks to be the right thing without even, they are very silent about Maslow's law. That none of those words they have used it there. Beautiful यार, अच्छा क्वेश्चन है. तो इसका मार्केट बी. चेक द आंसर. वाओ, करेक्ट. इज ऑल्सो करेक्ट. सो आपने दोनों. हाँ अब. एंड अभी सिर्फ फ्रेज में चेंज कर टकमन.
क्या कर रहे हैं सर? सॉरी, मैं समझा नहीं।
नहीं, अभी क्वेश्चन ये वो क्वेश्चन में टकमन सर्च कर मैस्लो के जगह.
अच्छा, ओके ओके ओके, ठीक है।
टकमन लैडर है ना, तो टकमन सर्च कर आ जाएगा वो. बट इतने मस्त है ना क्वेश्चन, आर गुड यार. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी. वो मैस्लो को टकमन कर बस. हाँ. मैन है कि नहीं मालूम नहीं, वो समझ लेगा लेकिन वो. हाँ. Your just been formed team are polite, caution, rely heavily on your direction. Which leadership style is most appropriate? Delegate the task and let the team self-organize. Provide the clear guidance. Allocate the team to make decision to prompt and focus only on stakeholder engagement at this point.
B लग रहा है. Provide the clear guidance and define role explicitly.
So Sachin is saying focus the. नहीं.
B for
Provide
Bombay.
B for beta. Okay. Provide clear guidance and define roles explicitly. अभी हम लोगों ने टकमन डाला है, तो वो अब हम लोग उसमें टकमन ढूंढना चालू किया ना. दिस इज रॉन्ग एक्चुअली इन अ वे. टीम मेंबर्स आर पोलाइट कॉशियस, ये वर्ड वेरी क्लियरली सेइंग दे आर इन फॉर्मिंग स्टेज. करेक्ट.
Hmm.
फॉर्मिंग स्टेज में है लोग. So, in
For
forming, what you should do, delegate the task and self-organize, provide the clear guidance and define the roles explicitly. That's a good thing. Allocate the team to make all decisions, to promote ownership, focus on stakeholder. क्या बोल रहे लोग? सचिन is with B.
B. Because the team is newly formed, and I think in that case they heavily
सर दे
we
हैविली
team
डिपेंड ऑन,
team yeah deep team depends on manager direction or
तो खुद भी कुछ नहीं करने वाले, उसको गाइडेंस देगा,
हाँ.
देखिए वैसा ही वो
फिर
करने वाला भी
कुछ
स्टेज पर।
दिनों के बाद फिर वो ये हो जाएंगे, जेल अप हो जाएंगे.
जब हो जाएंगे, that is that norming and all that thing
Then
that will
yeah.
come later. अगर हम लोग इसमें ना, if we forget that this question is on the Tuckman ladder, then answering this is easier in my opinion, है ना.
करेक्ट।
Yes.
टकमन लैडर हम लोगों को कंफ्यूज कर रहा है.
Confused.
सो डेलीगेट. हाँ. देन मेरे ख्याल से व्हाट सचिन इज सेइंग इज राइट. बी और क्या है, I mean, पहला चीज वही करोगे और क्या करोगे. सो वन लुक्स टू बी बी. आई एम स्पेंडिंग मोर टाइम ऑन दिस क्वेश्चन फ्रेंड्स फॉर अ सिंपल रीजन इज दैट आपको 42%, 75 क्वेश्चंस आने वाले इस पे. एंड प्रोसेसेस में ना कुलदीप, मेरे को चिंता नहीं है अबाउट माय बॉयज इन दैट सेंस. व्हाट डू आई मीन? यू गॉट माय बॉयज. My students process में they will do well because normally I cover it pretty well. But problem is about people questions because they are वो गूगली बॉल रहते हैं, हर गूगली बॉल रहता है कुलदीप उसमें. आर यू
Okay.
गेटिंग दैट? तो वो
Yeah.
90 वाला तो आपका अच्छा चीज है. आई मीन 90 आउट ऑफ 180 क्वेश्चंस process wala, that we are, I'm not worried much. I'm slightly worried about the 75, but we are doing good so far at least. So during the planning workshop, several team members argue over the task ownership and authority. Some interpersonal tensions. हाँ, ये क्लियर क्या क्या है साइन देखो. डोंट रीड इवन एबीसीडी.
Storming.
Storming.
Very clear. Raj, you were there yesterday.
Sleepy mode, yes.
Oh, okay, but you were the one who said storming. Yeah, Sachin, तू बोला था.
Both.
Both of you. Yeah, this is very clean sign. This is storming.
B
Becoming
लग रहा है
visible,
सर.
and now let's see it ABCD. Enforce the rule and assign responsibility. Not really great. Facilitate open discussion to allow issues to surface. Yes, this looks to be a
यही
good
लग
sign.
रहा है. B.
Reassess the team member. Oh, no, no, that's not right. Escalate this. Yeah. B is very clear here, and there is no B. So two also B. One was also B, I think. इसका answers देख ले, then we'll proceed with the topic for the day. अगर ये दोनों राइट आए ना कुलदीप, अभी तुम्हारा छुट्टी, आज जरूरत नहीं है ट्रेनिंग की तुम लोगों को. यस, वन इज करेक्ट.
ये वो भी बता रहा है सर, फॉर्मिंग स्टेज
वो
में
भी
ही
वही
है.
बोल रहा है, करेक्ट एग्जैक्टली. एंड टू इज ऑल्सो करेक्ट. अच्छा, एक्सलेंट चॉइस बोल रहा है, और क्या चाहिए. सो कुलदीप, इट्स नॉट ओनली मी सेटिस्फाइड, इवन चैट जीपीटी इज हैप्पी विथ यू.
सर आई सेव दिस.
सेव ऑल दैट. और अभी स्टॉप शेयर कर, मैं चालू करता हूँ थोड़ा सा.
ये
हम्म।
I
प्रॉम्प्ट मैं
ended
सेव
up
कर लेता
using
हूँ.
time which was little more than what I
अगर
was.
कुलदीप, अगर आप लॉग इन करके रखोगे चैट जीपीटी ना, या हिस्ट्री पूरी सेव रहती है उसमें,
दैट इज राइट.
हाँ, करेक्ट. वो
आपको
एक
कहीं भी
एडवांटेज है
सेव
मेरे ख्याल
करने की
से.
जरूरत नहीं. हाँ.
दैट इज
और
राइट.
वैसे ये नहीं देखा मैंने शिशिर उसमें कुछ कुछ तो ये फालतू का चीज बेचता नहीं है वो लोग. इवन
नहीं
इन
नहीं,
योर
वो नहीं, मतलब आपके लेफ्ट पैनल में पूरी पुराने सर्च आ जाएंगे, आप उसको बाद में डिलीट कर सकते हो. यू
करेक्ट.
कैन
एंड
क्लियर
मोर
द
देन दैट
हिस्ट्री.
वो लॉग इन क्यों
हम्म.
नहीं करते हम लोग शिशिर, बिकॉज वो कुछ
हम्म.
तो भी भेजते रहते यार बाद में. सो
नहीं
वो
मुझे,
चक्कर नहीं है
अच्छा
इसमें,
अच्छा.
नहीं भेजते ये लोग.
हाँ, नहीं भेजते, मेरे को तो कुछ नहीं आता
नहीं,
इससे.
मेरे कुछ नहीं आया, मैं भी लॉग इन
हाँ.
हूँ ना. एंड वन टाइम लॉग इन है वन. मैं
हाँ,
गूगल लॉग
मैंने
इन करता
डायरेक्ट
हूँ,
गूगल लॉग इन किया है मैंने भी.
फिर वो चक्कर ही नहीं रहता. इज माई स्क्रीन नाउ विजिबल?
यस.
Okay, good. Thanks, Kuldeep. Even though we used a little more time than what I thought we should be using, but nevertheless, that's good because more closer, guys, you are coming to the exam. More focus need to be on the questions, and that's where we did there. Here is, the new topic coming up, which is we did quality resource and communication, a very small chapter, smallest one rather. And then comes the risk. That's what certainly we need to do. If time permits, stakeholder. That's what we are trying to do today. For the last one, we'll have only the procurement, is what is the broad plan so far. Coming back to this, rather drilling down into this, I first of all always like to see this interesting screen, which I'm sure you would as well enjoy. Yes, is this right?
Yeah.
Are you able to place where are we with respect to the overall thing? तो फैक्ट्रीज में यू आर हियर वाला आता है ना,
हम्म.
तो कहाँ है यू आर हियर वेयर?
कम्युनिकेशन.
Communication.
Communication.
एंड डिड यू रियलाइज द डे ऑन विच वी क्रॉस इंटीग्रेशन स्कोप schedule वगैरह सब ऑल दैट. सो if not, in the interest of the thing, please see first 10 minutes of recording yesterday, correct? Because we spoke, how did we complete, what is that baseline, how is that, and all that. By the way, this is all building, Kuldeep, a formula called as PP is equal to.
9 plus 3 plus 1 plus n.
करेक्ट. ये सब चीज उसके लिए चल रही है. Because we need all the plans in place. Those plans will be combined into the project plan, and that's why PP is my main output here, called as project plan. Project plan is equal to 9 subsidiary plans, requirement management plan, plus 3 baselines. That's what is was this. And now we are entering into this chapter, probably the easiest, simplest chapter in the thing. Does not take even 20 minutes to finish. Not many tools and technique, but nevertheless we'll do that. But risk is an important, chapter which we'll be covering certainly today. So there we go, and communication. So to develop the artifacts which are to generating the data, the information and reports. Remember, data, information, report, those three words, everything is covered here. It is to develop the strategy and plan for the communication, conducting the communication in line with plan. Here you plan. Your job is here to understand. Remember, one of the very important input here is stakeholder register. Any idea why should that be taken as an input for planning communication?
क्योंकि सर कम्युनिकेशन तो मेन स्टेक होल्डर के साथ ही होगा ना.
स्टेक होल्डर के साथ ही होगा. हाँ, गुड. एंड व्हाट एल्स? यस स्वाति.
Like we decide RACI. So sort of information would be required in here कि communication उनके साथ कैसा करना है.
And depth, frequency
Yes.
of the communication. See, communication could be summary, it could be detail. And
Right.
one solution for all stakeholders is not going to work, Swati, correct?
Correct.
किसी को हाफ पेज रिपोर्ट ही भेजना चाहिए, उसको पूरा रिपोर्ट भेज दोगी, it will be a problem. Other way around is also going to be a problem, correct? Someone who need a daily report, if you give him a monthly report, he will be upset. Someone who is expecting monthly report, usko weekly doge to he will be again unhappy. So stakeholder register may, when you have captured list of the stakeholder as well as their specific requirements, you are very clearly knowing that, and that should become your input while planning the communication. Do that analysis, and that's what is the tool, by the way. There is a tool called as stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder analysis is an input or a tool used for planning the communication. And what will be the output of it? Output of plan communication management?
communication management
plan.
Communication management plan सीधा है ना, वो तो रूल ही था सचिन, correct?
Yeah.
yes.
So that's what communication management plan. Now, having made the plan, you need to do it, and that's what manage communication. Whatever you have planned, you need to do the communication as per that. Typically, that should have got over there, but you also need to monitor the communication, which means you are sending the report, but are those reports being understood? You are not sending them the report because it's legal binding on you. You are sending it because the change request should reduce. You are sending it because his cooperation should increase, the surprises should reduce. These are the purpose, those are the objective because of you are sending the communication. So it's very important to understand that ki wo pad bhi raha hai ya he is taking it like in our mailboxes you have seen so many mails coming from ye loan le lo, credit card le lo, wo type ka. If Swati's mail are being treated by that stakeholder like those, then your communication is not effective.
Not effective.
हाँ, कुछ करना पड़ेगा तेरे को, then only it's going to solve the problem, correct Swati?
Right.
That is what will bring you back into the planning, which obviously will come through a route called as CR.
Yeah.
Correct na? So CR banega, and that's all. So that's the broadly three processes what we do into each of them. So let's go ahead and try to see some concepts in the beginning. Communication is exchange of information. Remember, it's not only voluntary, it is involuntary as well. Sometimes you are doing it because you want to say something, but when when people keep quiet, they are still doing the communication. Do you agree to that? You know that, no? The
Yes.
silence is a big communication. So he is saying that sometimes you speak, and sometimes even if you don't speak, communication is happening. So you can't say that I didn't say that. I mean, you are not saying so means a lot to him. Written, it could be a written communication, spoken communication, formal, informal, through the gestures. One of the international studies say 68% of the communication happens through something called as gestures, which translates 32% is coming through the words. Have you heard about this theory, friends, anywhere? Yes. Have you heard about it?
Not sure about this study, but I totally agree to this point.
है ना? और स्वाति, वो एनएलपी आपने कुछ सुना था क्या? नॉट दिस नेचुरल लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसिंग, ये नया है. NLP in the HR thing called as a neuro-linguistic programming. You know that, no?
अच्छा.
Neuro-linguistic programming. Anyone heard about it, friends?
No,
Right.
Sanjay.
Okay, so just to update you, neurolinguistic programming, search करो Google पे मिलेगा, but
No.
it's a powerful way. They say that that if you want to connect with someone very clearly, you need to use the body language properly, and they show a lot of examples. For example, they will show extremely two powerful guys sitting together. If their gesture starts matching, let's say Sachin and me, we are meeting, and I want to establish a good rapport with him. Now look at it here. They actually have demonstrated, saying that whatever Sachin is doing as a gesture, without showing it to be copy, if I keep on doing, the communication happens better. ये अजीब चीज है, I mean. सो एंड इट शुड नॉट बी सीन एज अ कॉमेडी शो कि वो जो कर रहा है वैसे ही पागल जैसे करूंगा, बट it is a theory. Neuro linguistic programming says that what you are communicating through the body language is very powerful, and this study says 68% of that is there. And this particular statement, it says that it is happening through gesture. कहाँ लिखा है ये? Through gesture, through media, choice of words matter. Is that right, friends?
Choice of
Yes.
words and also tone of the words, how we speak
Exactly,
it.
to the world. So when I say yes, Swati, I will do, versus yes, I will do it, makes a
Yeah.
it makes a difference. Basically, it will pass too many messages along with that, and there are things there. Communication may happen through mails, sometimes reports. Remember, this is one of the very funny PMI way of looking at it. They said that sending a mail, they count more like an informal one, while report they say is a formal. So हम इंडिया में very often we say that when we want to formalize anything, we say that send it through the mail. But PMI said that sending the mail is little half formal. I would not say informal, but it's not fully formal. Fully formal is sending the report. That's very funny of them, but they think like that. So don't break your head too much around it, saying that sending mail is little informal. Meetings, presentations, social medium. This is very important. Social media. Social medium could be whatever informal, but the fact remains that it is a mode of communication. Correct, friends? Are you getting this? What he is trying to say? One of your team
What
member,
sorts of social medium? What is it?
which means, Swati, in your team, there are so many people. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and one of your team member, you were working hard for whatever, रात में 2 बजे तक काम चला, and on his Facebook page he went ahead and said that really a project में I am tired, I was waiting till 2 a.m. Now look at it, that guy is not saying this project is bad. He has written that statement there, and someone from the customer's team actually reads it.
Oh, that sense. Hmm.
आर यू गेटिंग स्वाति? वो ना
Yeah, yeah.
कुछ और ही पढ़ लेगा, वो बेचारा कुछ बोल नहीं रहा था. ही वॉज ओनली सेइंग कि यार 2 बजे तक सो जाऊं, अब मेरे को प्रॉब्लम हो रही. बट ही दिस कम्युनिकेशन विल स्टिल हैपन. आई मीन, आर यू गेटिंग दिस?
Yeah, हाँ.
एंड ही विल अननेसेसरली मेक सेंस आउट ऑफ इट. करेक्ट. सो
फेसबुक तो फिर भी चलता है, लिंक्डइन पे तो बहुत ही इशू हो जाता है.
हाँ, कुछ भी हो सकता है ये. आई मीन, आप कुछ भी बोल सकते हो. सो बेसिकली दे आर ट्राइंग टू से दैट द कम्युनिकेशन डज हैपन थ्रू द सोशल मीडिया. डाउन द लाइन एक ही स्लाइड में आएगा वो, विच इज सेट latest trends. For each of the chapter there is something called as what are the latest trends, and
Hmm.
communication, they have specifically said social medium communication is the latest trend.
Hmm.
You might announce, Swati, that is unofficial, but होता है, ये fact है. वो ऑफिशियल वाली बात तो बाद में आएगी ना. ही इज नॉट गोइंग टू से दैट कि बिकॉज उसने फेसबुक पे डाला तो तेरा प्रोजेक्ट का क्या है. इट इज जस्ट पॉसिबल, स्वाति, नेक्स्ट मॉर्निंग व्हेन यू रीच टू द ऑफिस, दैट कस्टमर माइट पिक अप द फोन एंड आस्क स्वाति, सेइंग दैट सब ठीक तो है स्वाति, कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं है.
Right.
This could be simply because of that message on the Facebook is read by someone. That guy went and told his boss, saying that कि सर वो थोड़ा गड़बड़ लग रहा है, आप तो मैडम से बात कर लेना, वो आई थिंक देर इज समथिंग रॉन्ग.
Right.
So those things are always possible, which you can't deny, in these days. You can always, by the way, you should, and in fact, not only you can, I would say you should announce it very clearly. Any such communication which is except for that official channel will be treated as individual views. So disown तो तुम कर लो, but communication होता है, ये fact है. Correct, friends?
Correct.
So that's what is there. This is another study. We say that project manager spends 90% of the time doing the communication. Now, these are international, studies, so sometimes they might throw some question on that. So keep that number in mind. Don't debate saying that whether 90, whether टेक्निकल प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर 90% कम्युनिकेशन करेगा तो क्या करेगा, वो सब तो आर sub questions, so don't worry about it. Dimensions, as they are saying, it could be an internal communication, external communication, formal, informal, hierarchical, upward, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. Now here there is one important thing, and certainly some questions will come on this, at least one or two out of the thing, and they say that when you are, वो principle आपको याद होगा, they say praise in public and criticize in private. आपने वो पढ़ा है ना?
Yes, yes.
So there would be some questions which are around that. They will give you a whole scenario and then they say what you should do as a project manager. So, and then they will not simply say that, you should shout him in the town hall meeting. They would actually come back and say that you don't want such a thing to repeat ever and it has a very big risk to the project. So in the town hall meeting, Swati goes ahead and says that you should not do it again. So it is actually compromising the principle. If you want to criticize, do it in private, don't do it in public. So, scenario based questions complicate the same simple thing there. So that is some questions will be around that, in that principle, criticize in private. Second thing is that whenever you are going to take any harsh action, either on the vendor or with the team member, and even sometimes with the customer, first thing is talk informally. Verbal, informal communication, do that thing. They will give you the whole scenario, Kuldeep, which will point you saying that कि सब तो evident है, अब करना क्या, तूने action लेना है. Correct? Yes, Kuldeep.
Okay.
But the principle is very clear कि unless पहले बात करो, ask him. There are all the evidences which are being shown that he is at fault or he is. Talk to him informally. Directly mail, directly escalate, directly give him the warning letter is not the right approach is what. So that those two principle pe communication pe most of the questions will come. But anyway, nevertheless, we'll run through all the slides and understand it. There are two parts we'll try to see. One is making the strategy, which is planning, and then second is to do actual communication. Choice of appropriate mode is very important. Informal, where to use informal, where to use formal, and so on and so forth is always there. Key concepts, they say that communication should be planned, keeping in following things to get the maximum benefits. 5 C's, just remember this by heart, nothing to explain there because some question, this theory is already there in PIM box 6, so कभी भी question पूछ सकते. Correct grammar and spelling, concise expression and elimination of the excess words, clear purpose and expression, coherent logical flows, and controlling flows of the word and idea. So those are 5 C's they have come up. Your project manager need to have certain skills as listening. Listening is said to be one of the communication skill. A good communicator will always be a good listener there. Awareness of the culture and personal differences, very important. What you say is not necessarily what is being heard by the person on the other side. He will filter it through the cultural and personal differences. Are you getting this, friends?
Yeah.
So that's what you need to be aware of it. Then comes identifying, setting, and managing the stakeholder expectation is very important from the communication perspective, and enhancement of the skill for persuading, motivating, negotiating, conflict resolution. These are all the things, that's your life as a project manager. That's what we do for most of the time. Trends and emerging practices, as I told you, social media. Social medium is there, and we spoke about that example, saying that how it is creating the new in a way, if I were to use a good old engineering word, short circuit हो जा रहा है इसमें. Correct? Shishir, are you getting this point? Short circuit. इलेक्ट्रिकल का होता है वैसे इंफॉर्मेशन भी शॉर्ट सर्किट हो जाता है ना.
राइट, हो सकता है.
एंड सोशल मीडियम इज द ब्रिलियंट place to actually create the short circuits. Correct? So current will flow, but in unexpected zone, that will create a big problem. So that's what is trends and emerging practices of the communication. Tailoring considerations when you are doing it. What are the type of stakeholders? For internal stakeholder, you could be little less formal. With external, you'll have to be more formal. Geographical distribution, if people are spread across multiple geography and things like Europe and all that thing, the language also will start making a difference. So basically, so you need to consider all that thing. Available communication technology. If your people are working on ground, they are, civil engineers who are seen most of the time spending on the site. Sending them the mail and thinking that it will be available to them forever is difficult. If your team members are working onto some remote oil rig, and in that remote oil rig, mobile वगैरह भी नहीं रहेगा. I mean, so you will have to use appropriate things there. Language of the stakeholder and knowledge, and so those are, you should customize or tailor your communication accordingly. In case of agile, you need to do shorter communications, but frequent. You should do it faster, quickly. So 10 minutes each day is what is better rather than a 4 hours meeting once in a week. No, that's not required. 10 minutes a day is a good communication. And that's where I'm sure you would realize that this daily scrum meeting actually is very useful. It's a short meeting, but every 24 hours. Plan communication, the first process, good or bad communication by project can result in change in the perception. Remember, a poor communication, a project where you have not managed the communication well, could result a poor perception about the project. Have you experienced it, friends? I'm sure you would have seen. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
करेक्ट राज.
Yeah.
परसेप्शन
When.
गलत फॉर्म हो जाता है कभी कभी. अदर वे राउंड वाले भी देखा है मैंने राज, बाय द वे. करेक्ट ना?
Over committing on deliverables. Yes.
हाँ, कभी कभी हो जाता है वो. आई मीन दैट्स वेरी, आई मीन पीपल थिंक दैट ये बहुत प्रॉमिसिंग प्रोजेक्ट है, बट इट इज नॉट रियलिटी. कम्युनिकेशन से दैट होल हाइप इज क्रिएटेड. करेक्ट.
Hmm.
So that's what. Planning the communication is key. If communication is important, you need to plan it as well. It's not going to happen automatically. Communication should be based on stakeholder requirement, available organization assets, like what tools do you have? Do you have an online portal? Do you have only the email? Do you have the, lot of companies, there are things like, there are those video conferencing room. आजकल तो with हाई नेटवर्क थिंग कोई भी अपने फोन से भी कर सकता है, बट गुड ओल्ड डेज देयर यूज्ड टू बी अ वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग रूम. It's an OPA which was available. If it is there, use them appropriately. End objective is to engage with the stakeholder and provide them the right information. Too less, too few, too frequent, everything is bad. It should be right in size, right in frequency. Oh, that has to be there. Communication planning will happen when you are identifying the stakeholder. See, this statement is actually speaking. If I go to that, he's saying a communication planning is starting when you are doing this identify stakeholder. Are you realizing this? Why is this he linking this? Correct? Yes, Raj?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. When you are identifying, you remember I was saying that when you are actually trying to make list of all the stakeholders, sometimes you might come back and say कि यार ये तो बहुत किटकिट वाला आदमी दिख रहा है. Have you seen this type of feeling coming in the first interaction about some people? Yes, Shishir? हाँ, वेरी कॉमन ना. पता ही लग जाता है उससे
Right.
दो बात करो तो ये रियलाइज कि ये बहुत झंझट वाला आदमी है करके. करेक्ट.
Yeah, especially with
Exactly.
German clients.
हाँ, आई मीन देयर आर ऑब्वियसली, आई मीन इंडियन में कौन सा कम मिलेगा, बट एनीवे. So, so now coming back to that, what I am trying to say is that for the project manager, it means something, isn't it? What does it mean? It means communication में थोड़ा अच्छा प्लान करो इसको, otherwise this guy will become a big problem. So, if you believe that he is like that, you need to handle it, and that's what this sentence is saying. Communication planning is when you are identifying the stakeholder. That point itself. Communication plan need to be updated based on the issues time to time. One static plan in the beginning, because down the line the information need, the communication needs might change. Your interpretation and understanding about the communication need might also improve with time. So best thing, keep on updating that plan periodically based on different issues coming there. You must also plan for getting the information, storing, distributing, securing, and disposal. Do you have people, are you aware where there were disposal related requirements? Yes. वो GDPR वगैरह में है ना? Anyway.
Shredder.
हाँ, श्रेडर है, राज ये भी है. you need to delete the database entries. You know that, huh?
Yeah, mandate trainings.
हाँ, and then in fact वो rule है राज, that
Yeah.
आपके database में उनका personal information if it is there, you are not supposed to keep it. Even it is not only supposed to keep, you need to demonstrate that you have deleted it. Correct na?
Yeah, we also use this NDA की उनका information कोई भी non disclosure agreement वगैरह भी आते हैं इसमें.
Those are there. So to that extent, and that's what he's trying to say, you need to plan all that thing properly. Communication management plan is created in this process, which is obviously sub part of the larger thing called as the PP, project plan. These are the inputs which are well known to us. EFs, very important one, establish communication channels, tools, systems. If they are there, use them. It's your benefit. Global or regional, local trends, practices, and habits, very important. Some people are extremely habitual for a very formal thing. यार हाई के जगह डियर लिख दिया तो लोग बुरा मान लेते. करेक्ट? हैव यू सीन इट?
Yeah.
वेरी कॉमन. हाई के जगह डियर लिखा तो बुरा, किसी को डियर के जगह हाई लिखा तो वो बुरा लगता.
Right.
Internal teammates.
करेक्ट? मिस हेलो मिस सिंह एंड हेलो डियर स्वाति, वो अमेरिकन और ब्रिटिशर इसको बिल्कुल अलग समझेंगे. आर यू गेटिंग इट?
अच्छा, इंडियन में भी कर देते हैं.
हाँ,
इंडियंस भी कर देते हैं.
कर
डियर
लेते
लिखते हैं किसी
एग्जैक्टली.
सीनियर रिसोर्स को तो हम आपके डियर हैं.
हाँ. बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है.
हाँ भाई.
तो व्हाट
और
ही
बहुत
इज
खिचड़ी
ट्राइंग.
रहता है इसमें.
हाँ,
इसमें बहुत खिचड़ी रहता है ये डियर और हाई वाले में.
हाँ, डियर और हाई तक का प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है. अरे तो बहुत अजीब प्रॉब्लम है. बट दैट्स व्हाट ही इज स्पीकिंग अबाउट हैबिट्स. एंड बाय द वे कुलदीप, डिड यू नोटिस ये सबको ईएफ बोला इसने?
बराबर है.
अरे, इसका मतलब क्या है कुलदीप? वो डियर को बुरा माने या हाई को अच्छा माने, ये तेरे हाथ में नहीं है. थोड़ा देख लेना, उसको डियर बुरा लगता है तो मत बोलना डियर. करेक्ट?
यस सर.
तो आपको सर बोलने से अच्छा लगता है तो सर बोलो यार, कहाँ तुम परेशान कर रहे हो. Correct? That's what is simple translation there. Geographical distribution obviously makes a big difference in deciding the communication. Policies on the social media, ethics, security, organization communication requirement. These are the OPAs which are there. If it is there, any OPA and EF are going to impact you, they are not in your control. Go ahead and play around them too, so that you do get stumble around these things. Wherever they are beneficial, use them for your interest. Expert judgments is in the form outside the thing, which you might have to involve right people who will be able to tell you the communication and communication requirement analysis. As I told you, this is the tool. Once you take the stakeholder register and understand their attitude, remember those 5 category: the unaware, neutral, supporting, resisting, and leading. Based on that, you need to analyze, saying that who should be given which type of communication. So communication should be planned for the. It's important to understand communication requirement. It should be planned looking at the stakeholders register to understand their attitude. As I told you, that neutral, resisting. The customer who is, or the stakeholder who is resisting, you need to handle him little differently, as compared to the stakeholder who is neutral or who is supportive. So that's how it has to be there and requirement. Now, ये जो theory है ना, this is removed from the book long back, but suddenly mock paper में आ जाता है. तो I have kept it. Let me tell it to you. What is this number of potential channel? What they are trying to say, friends, that if your project had 5 stakeholders, we are just naming them as A, B, C, D, and E. Now they say that there is a possibility that A will get connected to B. Obviously, B will also talk to them. A might also talk to C, A will also talk to D, and A will also talk to E. Obviously, they are connected. Now remember, B is already connected to A. So now B will connect to C, then B will connect to D, and B will connect to E. Now C is already connected to A and B. So he will only talk to D and E. And there would be 1 here. Now if you go ahead and count those arrows, which are the possible connections, that's called as number of communication channel. How is that calculated? It is called as number of communication channels is equal to n into n minus 1 whole thing divided by 2. Here there are 5, so 5 into 4 divided by 2, which is equal to 10. So these arrows will be 10 arrows. This is the formula for number of communication channels. Is this understood so far?
Yeah, but it can't be always right.
Now it can't be always right, Raj. What they are trying to say, they are saying, Raj, you as a person, you need to go ahead and say that out of these, which one would you like to keep official? So Raj, what he is saying, you have the choice as a project manager कि ये communication is valid. ये communication is valid, this communication is valid. All other, you in the communication plan say that these are invalid communication. It does not mean that you cannot store his number or pick up the call. You will say, Raj, saying that anything which is said by a developer from my team to a vice president of the customer will be casual discussion. It will not be an official thing. ये चीज तेरे को बोलना पड़ेगा, राज. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Basically, you are right. इसका कोई मतलब नहीं आता है. There could be so many. It is just an info. But what they are trying to say, out of this, what is official, you mark it and then clearly say in the communication plan, these are the communication channels. So tomorrow, that vice president calls Raj and tells Raj, you remember that guy was telling me about it कि वो तो 3 दिन में हो जाएगा. Raj, what are you saying? You will deny that clearly, Raj. Correct? You decide कि वो उसका पर्सनल व्यू है, सर, वो मेरे से बात मत करना. Correct? That is what they are trying to say. So you are right. Your observation is right. इतना ही है ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है. There are so many very funny wirings could happen in communication world. Correct? But you should officially say something, and that's where was this theory. With time they have removed it, but yeah, malum nahi. I mean, these people could ask any question on anywhere. So remember, very simple formula. N into n minus 1 minus 2. Responsibility and role should be as well in the project, and department involved in the project. These are all the analysis you need to do it. The legal requirement, if there are some communication related requirement which are legal, the vendor must supply monthly status report by the in the last week. If that is what is written in the contract, then you need to do it. You can't say that the last month jo tha wahi tha, there is no change, so why should I change? No, it's a legal requirement. You'll have to do it. Communication technologies are required to be used. These are all well known to you all. Shared portals, video conferencing, audio conferencing, all these you need to do it. The key thing is that you should use them best. Communication models, there are 3 levels. Simple, basic, sender. This is explained in the chart in the next one, which we will be seeing there. More aspect are cross-cultural communication, the differences in working method, age, nationality, professional discipline, ethnicity, race, gender, सबका, everything complicates the story. Sender and receivers, current emotional stage. Now, yes, sender and receiver क्या है is explained here well. They say that when two people are connecting with each other, maybe over the phone, maybe even face to face when they are meeting, there is a sender who is sending something, and there is the receiver who is getting the message here. Now, what they say that sender, whatever he want to say, he encodes it and transmits the message. There is a noise at the receiving end, and the receiver receives and decodes it. Now, this is not electronic basic of electronic communication, wo nahi hai, which we would have learned in the engineering. What they are trying to say that when I am telling Shishir, saying that Shishir, are you, when are you going? Now, this is encoding. I am not exactly saying what I said in terms of words. It is only means I have encoded a message, which then will go to the transmitted, and Shishir will listen what is there in his mind. Remember, and that's called as a noise. For example, if someone thinks that, if this guy, whenever this guy says anything, na, वो फालतू यार नया किट लेके आता है. That's called as a noise. Are you getting this point? Some people would have a feeling about someone else, saying that this guy always bring in some or the other problem. Have you seen this?
एक इम्प्रेशन रहता है लोगों का.
एक इम्प्रेशन. बट शिशिर, वो स्टोरी तो बड़ा, और मैंने तेरे को अच्छा पकड़ लिया आप शिशिर. डू यू थिंक यू डोंट हैव दैट इम्प्रेशन?
Everyone has.
Everyone has. That's what is that. That's what is the crux of it. What you listen is basically filtered through. And how does that come, Shishir? It comes because of this. They are because of the generations. Some old guy speaking to us, we have our own, thing. ये तो ऐसा बात करेगा. National, professional, disease, gender, these all things are making the impact of that noise at your end. So that's what they are trying to say. Keep it into the thing. Keep it into the mind. Basically, it says that वो क्या था रे बीच में एक टेक्नोलॉजी आता था what you see is what you get. ऐसा कुछ था ना रे. This week आप कुछ ने सुना था क्या? मैं हैव यू ये टेक in the technology world this word was there. Did you notice that?
सुना हुआ लग रहा है ये.
वो मैंने in around I think 95 वगैरह वो इसमें technologies which were अच्छे this week बोलती थे वो लोग. Basically it is what you say is what you get. Now this is not the related theory. What I am trying to say is that what you say is not being heard by them. Are you getting? Even when it comes to your spouse, what you say is not what he or she will hear. Are you getting it?
Yeah, never.
He had a
वो
noise. You
तो
are saying never.
पर उसका तो बात ही मत करो.
बात ही मत.
कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग है ये, सब्जेक्टिव.
बट कुलदीप ये सब लेवल पे होता है. करेक्ट. दैट्स व्हाट दे आर ट्राइंग टू simply say that it is not there. Understand it. You understanding this probably are you getting, friends, ki ye this book, maybe I am teaching it too many times, that's why I love this, but I like this approach. I mean, if you are you getting, I mean, when it comes to थोड़ा अभी we might go into वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको अध्यात्म वाले रेंज में जाएंगे हम लोग शायद. बट आर यू गेटिंग व्हाट यू से इज नॉट बीइंग हर्ड बाय दैट पर्सन. प्लीज ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड इट, आपके आधे प्रॉब्लम शायद सॉल्व हो जाएंगे. करेक्ट. दिस इज सचिन गेटिंग लिटिल मोर रिलीजनली. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the fact. So that's what this says. Anyway, coming back to the exam, very important is exam. Exam may they would say what is there a sender, is there a receiver, and this is called as encode. There is a noise and all that. So yeah, just remember those things there, and you will understand it very simply. Communication methods, there are multiple methods of communication. Interactive, like meetings and phone calls. Push communication, while you are sending the mass mail or the letters to so many people, all at someone. That type of mails are there. Pull communication, you are publishing some report and telling them, saying that go ahead and download the report from this site. So share the link, and now it is his choice. You have finished your responsibility by sharing the link. Now whether he clicks and opens it is up to him. You don't really worry about it. So push communication versus pull communication. 10-15 साल पहले कोई स्टॉक मार्केट में एंट्री किया था क्या? देयर वुड बी पीपल, सम पीपल. सचिन,
नो.
10-15 साल पहले, वेर यू आर नॉट ओल्ड इनफ दैट टाइम. शिशिर
नहीं नहीं, डायरेक्ट नहीं, पेरेंट्स ने इनडायरेक्ट किया था.
but you have not. See, typically the thing which I want to actually bring to your notice, friends, is that आपको याद है वो बड़े बड़े बुक्स आते थे. मेरे घर में कचरा पड़ा रहता था. वो बैलेंस शीट ये वो वाला बड़ा बड़ा बुक आता था वो. यू रिमेम्बर दैट?
कंपनीज के अपडेट्स.
हाँ, कंपनी का बैलेंस शीट आता था. वो पढ़ता भी नहीं था वो. इन्वॉल्व आपने को समझ में क्या आने वाला है वो पढ़ के? शिशिर, कुछ नहीं समझ में आता था. इट वाज कमिंग देयर एंड माय वाइफ वाज वेरी अपसेट विद दैट कि ये आता क्या है, करता क्या है ये आदमी, व्हाई इज सो मेनी थिंग्स देयर. कचरा पकड़ के फेंकना ही है. तो दैट्स व्हाट वाज द टिपिकल थिंग. आर यू रियलाइजिंग दिस पुश वर्सेस पुल वाला डिफरेंस? अभी क्या आता है, अभी देखा है क्या तुमने?
सॉफ्ट कॉपी.
और वो भी सचिन लिंक आता है आजकल. तू देखा है सचिन?
हाँ, लिंक करते हैं. करेक्ट.
ओनली अ लिंक अटैच्ड इनटू. खोलना है तो तू खोल, नहीं तो मत खोल. दे डोंट इवन अटैच दैट पीडीएफ इनटू योर थिंग. डिड यू रियलाइज फ्रॉम पुश टू पुल? Now it has become pull communication, correct? That's what they are trying to say. choose the appropriate method for each. Where to send use, where to use push communication, where to use pull communication is all up to you. And appropriate the approaches of communication interactive between two individuals, small group 3 to 6, public communication. So all hands meet and all that thing are public communication. Mass communication, sending the mails to the whole of the employees there, and network and social computing communication through the social media. So these are multiple approaches there. Where to use what is the wisdom, where the project manager will come into the picture there. So कुलदीप थोड़ा शायद ओ, कुलदीप आर यू आपका क्या वॉइस लॉस्ट हो गया था क्या?
Kuldeep, I think step out for
Step
10
out
15
कीजिए।
minutes. What
हाँ
do you
बट
think?
अभी आ गए वो एज आईफोन तो मालूम नहीं. हाय विशाखा, विशाखा आर वी ऑडिएबल?
Yes, Sanjay, yes.
Good, good. Okay. So there are several artifacts like all that. So that's what he's trying to say necessary here. Interpersonal and team skills are very important for communication. I'm sure you would note. One of the sub part of it. Remember, interpersonal and team skill, data representation. These are not tools. They are, let me repeat. Interpersonal team skill, data representation, data gathering are not the tools. What are those then? Hey, 725 पे जाओ फटाक से on Pinbox 725. Yeah, Shishir, did you go there? कि Pinbox खोला ही नहीं था.
नहीं ओपन है ओ
Page 725 PDF.
725।
So data representation है ना, वहां दिख रहा है ना. It is a
Under tools and techniques group.
group, Pawan. Are you getting? It's a
Yes.
group. Data gathering itself is not a tool, Pawan, correct?
Yes, yes.
Now, under data gathering tools, you will find multiple below. If you go to that table below, scroll down a page. Yes, Pawan? It starts maybe with interview, brainstorming, something like that.
Yeah, benchmarking, brainstorming, check sheets.
These are the tools and technique. So, are you getting, friends? Interpersonal and team skill, data representation are not the tools. They are group of tools. Under interpersonal, for communication, what is important is communication style assessment, political awareness, cultural awareness. These are the tools and techniques. Correct,
Yeah.
friends?
Feedback, presentations,
There
activities.
are so many of them. There are so many of them. But the one which are applicable for communication are these three. Pawan, correct? Which you can see on my screen. Communication style assessment, which means checking which style is useful for you. Political awareness, political awareness is a very important interpersonal and team skills. Do you believe this?
Nowadays, very much in India.
Very much in
India.
India, you are saying Sachin, na?
Yes.
सचिन, ये ब्रिटिशर में और हॉरिबल है. अपने को लगता है बिकॉज वी आर सो फेमिलियर अबाउट इंडियन थिंग्स, बट ब्रिटिशर्स आर वेरी व्हाट दे कॉल इट एज, वो फिनिकी है वो लोग, वो काफी. हैज एनीवन सीन दैट? अजीब जमाते हैं वो अभी इन दैट सेंस. डू नो दैट, फ्रेंड्स?
लेकिन उधर का पॉलिटिकल एनवायरनमेंट और इंडिया का इट्स वेरी मच डिफरेंट.
No, that is different. But political awareness, when they are trying to say, that has nothing to do with the the government related politics. It is saying the political awareness, which means how things work here. वो यार, वो एक बार एक देयर वाज अ पर्सन टू हुम वो रिपोर्ट भेजते थे सचिन. वी यूज्ड टू सेंड रिपोर्ट्स टू एवरी वीकली रिपोर्ट. So in one of the week, when I was, that time I didn't use the whole distribution list. So I forgot to include that person's name. And sent the report. But when I realized it down the line, I went ahead and apologized him and told him, Sachin, that sorry, last weekend I actually forgot. And so, but this is the report I want to share. You wouldn't believe, Sachin, the statement he said was, he said that, abhi tak the, if all the people who forget me, if they give me even 1 pound at each time they forget, I would have become billionaire, बोलता है वो. Very funny characters. Now this is called as a political awareness. You need to be aware कि boss ये यहाँ ऐसा है, इसको कुछ नहीं कर सकते. You can't do anything. That ability you need to have is what they are trying to say. If it is not there, you could get into very funny situation. As I told you, I don't know whether I spoke about it, Sachin, is that in some companies just sending a mail to top boss doesn't work. You need to pick up the phone and talk to his secretary. तभी काम होता है वो. Have you seen that, Sachin? And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not speaking about government, Sachin, by the way. प्राइवेट कंपनी की बात कर
Well,
रहा हूं मैं.
mhm.
वो होता नहीं है वहां पे. दैट्स हाउ द थिंग्स वर्क. These are things called as a political awareness. You need to have that ability. Cultural awareness is very important. Data representation is actually done using a matrix, which is showing. यहाँ पे है क्या वो? Let me check. If it is not there, let me show that diagram to you in stakeholder slide pack, because anyway I need to show it to you sooner or later, maybe today itself. So why not directly hit that chart? So what this we are going to come through. I have not seen this chart. The only thing I am speaking about is this. What they are trying to say: data representation, stakeholder engagement, assessment matrix. What they are trying to say: in your project there are stakeholder 1, 2, 3, and you have put unaware, resistant, neutral, support, and leading. And C stands for what is, where is he right now and where he should be. D is desired status there. Now look at it. Stakeholder 1 is currently unaware, and for your project success he should be supporting. The stakeholder 2 is neutral currently, and he should be supporting. Stakeholder 3 is currently, supportive, and you want him to be supportive. Now, you would say, what do we get by drawing such diagram? The most important thing, friends, how this guy will move here, how this unaware guy will become supportive, or how this neutral guy become supportive. You need to make communication plan.
Sanjay, can you please explain that again?
Who is this?
This is Pavan.
Pavan. See, typically, if you look at this stakeholder 1, you will realize he's unaware and he need to be supportive. That is the analysis you have done, Pavan, correct?
Right.
Now, remember, just by saying or showing this diagram to that guy, Pavan, saying that, sir, please note you are unaware. From tomorrow, could you be supportive? Not going to happen, Pavan, correct?
Okay, yeah.
This movement will have to happen from here to here. Correct, Pavan?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, one of the way for that could be a proper communication.
True, yeah.
Are you getting? That's how this theory and this theory is related. They are saying based on that, make the communication plan. If you
Got it.
believe that some of them are unaware, उसको थोड़ा aggressively communicate करना पड़ेगा, पवन तेरे को, correct?
Yes, yes.
If there are people to whom you meet only once in a month, there could be few guys where Pawan will say कि इसको तो weekly मिलूंगा मैं पक्का. And I'm sure you would be doing that, correct, Pawan?
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
need to do it because that's your job. And that's what they are trying to say. Desired engagement level, from unaware. That diagram is shown in the stakeholder chapter. I didn't use it in this, but the crux is that. Then meetings are obviously required for communication planning. And then communication management plan is an output. How many stakeholders are there? What information should be given? What should be the language, format, frequency, details, reason for distributing, personal responsible for communicating. Is it that your PMO will send the report? Is it that you will send the report? Or is it that central quality department who will send that report? Then person or group who will receive that information, who will be included in to list, who will be included in CC list, methods or technologies to be used. Will that be through the memos? ये word तो अभी आजकल नहीं है. This is good old days in the handwritten communication, but email, press release. Press release? Is press release a communication to stakeholders? Yes, could there be a
Yes,
press
yes,
release?
yes.
There. There are some stakeholders where press release works. Correct, friends? Have you? That's all. Guidelines and template for the project status meetings and all that. So those are part of the communication management. Now comes having made the communication, actually doing the communication. So proper communication is an essential part of the project success. Without that, you cannot successfully run a project. The project manager includes collecting the information, creating, distributing, storing, retrieving, timely, and finally disposing. All the things need to be done as per the plan. Information must be properly generated, formatted, distributed, and techniques used are sender receiver model. We have just now seen sender, encode, transmit, noise, receiver, and decode. So that's the whole thing is there. Choice of media, we have spoken about it at length. Meeting management for the effective use. When you are doing the communication, you should use proper meeting management, say sharing the agenda before making the points, minutes of meeting, distributing them, tracking the action items, all that thing is the meeting management techniques. Presentation is a very important ability for a project manager for him to manage the communication well and facility to build the team working and all that. So those are, some of the things. Inputs are well known. EFs are also well known. They are same like the plan communication. There are no new technologies, tools. They are all same. Shared portal, video conferencing, all that we have spoken. This exact is the slide copy communication method. Interactive, push, pull, and communication skills are absolutely required for doing the communication, which include communication skill again, as I told you, is a group of tools, and which are the sub under them communication competence. You need to have, the project manager should be competent to do the communication. Feedback is an important communication skill. You should be able to take the feedback. Don't go ahead and speak whatever you want to say. Check whether it is reaching the people there. Non-verbal, you know ability to do the communication through body language, gesture, and all that thing is very important. And presentation, I know, I'm sure you know it is fundamental skill of a project manager. So presentation के बगैर आजकल कुछ नहीं होता है. Project management information system, we spoke about multiple systems in the company where you are updating the project related data and it gets distributed automatically to appropriate people. And then comes the project reporting. Interpersonal team skills, same thing again. Active listening, conflict management, those 5 things. Withdraw or avoid, smooth or accommodate, then force or direct, then withdraw वाला था और कौन सा था पांचवा, problem solve and all that thing. So those are the 5 techniques there. Cultural awareness and all that thing there. Political awareness. Output is project communication and so on. And monitor communication, it's a process to ensure information need for the project are met. It is not limited to send the timely report. It is also saying, is it creating the desired impact? Whatever you are expecting, the change in the behavior of the stakeholder by sending those reports, is that really happening? Otherwise, you are sending the report very sincerely. If it is not changing the behavior of the stakeholder, if they are still in the dark, if they are still asking the very basic question about the project, there is something wrong. You need to rectify. Remember, monitor and control will is meant always for that, to check what I am doing, is that really effective. So studying every 2 hours every day for so many days is going to crack the PMP exam. Now that's a very innocent belief, isn't it? At the end of 1 week, you need to check, say that I am spending 2 hours, but is it really taking me little closer to my goal or it's not? That's what is monitoring. Effectiveness should be tracked by customer satisfaction, observation of the team performance, issue log. Very often I call change request. Change requests, if they are increasing drastically, sometimes the cause of that could be communication. Not necessarily always, sometimes. Effectiveness should result in the desired movement of the stakeholder from neutral to supportive to leading. We spoke about that chart, desired to the and identify the gap there. There are absolutely no new tools and techniques. Everything is same as plan and manage. So look at it here. EF, same global trends, practices, habits, expert judgment, project management information, data representation was C to D wala. That is the same tool. Interpersonal and team skills, which now include observation and conversation. So do you believe that people who are having good interpersonal and team skills are good at conversation and observations? Yes, do you agree to that? Yes, friends.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Because they are very good at observation, Raj, isn't it? I mean, so they will keep a close eye and they will understand it quickly. Meeting is a very generic tool there. So that takes care of this small chapter called as project communication. Any questions, friends? Any question on this? Taking our usual thing, a 5-minute break is what we'll take, a comfort break, and then we'll resume with risk as the next chapter. Is that okay?
Yeah, should be fine.
Yes.
And this is pausing the recording. I will not stop. So there we come, and now we are into a knowledge area called as risk. If we want to actually have a look at the larger picture, where we stand is now we are here. So this whole thing is done, this is done, this is done, this all things are completed. Risk is where we are now. Procurement we have not done, stakeholder we have not done. So risk is what we are going to do today. For example, there are few places where there are arithmetical calculations, friends. This is one. Here you have the things related to project selection method. That IRR, NPV and all that. That theory is there in develop project charter. Then here in develop schedule, you have that critical path method, early start, early finish and all that. That is the second place where there are arithmetical calculations. In control cost, you have earned value management, EVM, earned value management. These are three places. The fourth one is we are going to learn in this chapter. In perform quantitative analysis, we are going to learn something called as EMV. EMV, expected monetary value. Expected monetary value. That's what is there. So EVM and EMV, these are the two, very similar things. But EVM was earned value management, where you have those three terms called as EV, PV, and AC, and then multiple formulas. In EMV, there is only one formula called as expected monetary value is equal to the money at stake multiplied by a percentage. You will see that here. So there are four places where there used to be typical arithmetical calculation. So they are here, but that's little detail. To begin with, an overview of this chapter: plan risk management. It's a strategy. You are going to create a risk management plan. We say that how frequently you are going to identify the risk, who will you invite for risk management, will you conduct their interviews, with whom you will go ahead and use the questionnaire approach, different approaches. Basically, a strategy about the risk management. How frequently you are going to monitor the risk, what is the budget reserved for the risk. Those all strategy statements are documented in risk management plan, which in turn gets merged with the project plan. So risk management plan is a subsidiary of it. The second one is identify risk. Sit down with your team members, sit down with the consultants, sit down with your customers, all appropriate stakeholders, speak with them and try to understand their concerns. When I say by concerns, remember you have made them several times for collecting the requirement for several things. But this time identify risk is slightly different. Having made all those plans, this time you ask saying that, please read this whole thing, this plan, and tell me what do you think where this could go wrong. Remember, friends, we are actually, so let me rectify my own statement. I was saying where it go wrong. It's not. You are going to ask them the question that where could that happen, not as per the plan. Remember, listen to this very carefully and tell me what I am trying to say. I am not saying risk means what is going to go wrong. Risk means what is going to be different than planned. What's the meaning of that? So
Anything that deviates from project plan.
correct. That could be bad or Raj. It could be
Different.
Good as well, Raj.
Hmm.
Anything different, bad or good, both of these uncertainties you need to identify, and they are called as a risk. Very funny, isn't it? You getting this, friends? What Raj is saying? He's saying what is
Yes.
Yeah,
different
yeah,
than plan. Now,
maybe some
different could be good
events.
or bad as well. Yes, Swati.
Yeah, maybe some events which can actually help the project rather than in a bad sense.
So how,
So, hmm.
how good is risk? Like
Now some of
things
the
like
risk
gold
could be
plating.
good. नहीं, gold plating नहीं है, Raj. Now try to understand what is this point. For example, what they are trying to say is the reason for which they say good also is to be risk, because it will call for you to make a plan. See, good things, if they see, good things happen in everyone's life, Raj. But there are few people who are able to make benefit out of that good thing. Are you realizing this? Do you agree to this point?
Hmm.
Now, Swati,
Yes.
what they are trying to say that for you, why should you prepare for the bad risk? Because it should not impact you badly. But for the good risk also, Swati, you will have to go ahead and plan it. If you don't plan it, you will not be able to utilize that opportunity.
Right.
You will not be able to. It is almost like वो cricket में होता है ना कि you got that free hit and
Hmm.
you didn't run, you didn't took any run about it. Bad thing ना, free hit मिला ही था तो आपको पीटना चाहिए था. You should have made sixer there, correct?
Yes.
Now, that is the reason for which even something which is happening good than the plant is called as a risk, because it needs a plan. For bad thing, if you fail to plan, that bad thing will hit you hard. But good thing, if you don't plan, you will not be able to utilize it for your benefit. You will lose that opportunity to do something good for the project. Correct?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if your team, which was earlier thinking that they will take 3 months to complete some integration, negative risk is they might end up taking 4 months.
Hmm.
You need to be prepared. You'll have to probably tell the customer कि 4 महीना लग सकता है. Maybe give some training to the staff. I don't know, whatever ways by which this concern that 3 month के जगह 4 महीने लगेगा, तो what all I will do. You need to plan for that. Correct?
Correct.
Now, one of the very weird young brat from your team member, he comes back and tells Swati, यार ये तो तूने सोच लिया, but ये तो सोच कि शायद 2.5 month में ही खत्म कर लेंगे तो.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, is that boy should be given any attention, or
Should be. Yes.
and that's the reason for which it is called as a risk. Can you explain why should he be given the attention?
What if it is done half month early? Then what? How we can utilize this half month?
Exactly. Are you getting it? If you ignore it, कुछ बुरा नहीं होगा तुम्हारे साथ, स्वाति. But
Right.
आप वो opportunity you will not be able to convert into a real project benefit. Maybe if you have done it in 2.5 months, can you go ahead and keep the functionalities of the next release ready so that your team will start working on some background work on that?
Right.
Maybe that your team member will utilize that time to understand some technologies which are going to come into the future thing. Otherwise छुट्टी पे चले जाएंगे 15 दिन लोग, कुछ होगा नहीं तुम्हारे साथ, फायदा नहीं होगा तुम्हारा. Correct?
Hmm.
And that's where even positive risk, that is called as a positive risk, and needs a plan around that. Correct, Raj? Sachin?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what. So that's what is identifying the risk, is what we are trying to say. And after that, you need to analyze the risk. Analyzing the risk is, as I told you on day one also, I think not day one, day two maybe, when I said that it is all about you need to sort that risk register in a descending order. Very important thing, you need to sort the risk register in the descending order. You should not make plan for each identified risk. If you try to make plan for each identified risk and go ahead and act onto that plan, 50% of your project budget will be spent only on the risk related activity, which is not the objective. So you need to identify which are the risks which could make a bigger hole into your pocket. The one which are going to trouble you more. For them, you need to make the risk plan. For other things, you should say that let us see if this risk comes. I will check at that point on time. I'm not in the mood to go ahead and make a plan because it makes no sense. The chances of that happening is, let's say, only 5%. So if you don't make a plan, There is no fun in doing that. These two processes, perform qualitative and quantitative, are to sort the risk register in the descending order in such a way that the top risk about which you should be worried will come onto the top, and the one which are not so important will go on to the bottom. So that then maybe if you have, whatever 50 lines in your risk register, you said out of these top 15, I will make a plan. Remaining 35, I will keep it into the risk register. I will keep on checking it periodically, but plan 15 के लिए है. So these are the two processes. So we'll go into detail there. Plan risk response is the next step. For these 59 top out of them, we will need to make a plan saying that if a person leaves the project, what will I do? If server doesn't come on time, what will I do? If customer pulls the budget suddenly, what will I do? If there is a new regulation come into the force, what will I do? So for identified and analyzed risk, the top risk, you should make a plan around it. Whatever you have planned, you need to do. That's called as implement. And whatever you have planned and done, you need to monitor what you have done is right. You identified, that this guy might leave. You went ahead and made a mitigation plan saying that I will go ahead and keep the second guy in line trained. Now, is that training happening? Is that training making him capable enough to replace the person who would leave? So monitor risk is that. Basically, whatever you have decided about the risk, what you are doing, are those actions really giving you the desired result? Is monitor. So these are, the 7 processes in this particular chapter there. So let's get going into the thing. But as usual, when the new chapter starts, there are some concepts. This I have explained it to you. Okay. Now here, key concepts of the risk. Projects are an unique endeavor, and that's where there are always the risk, because you are not doing it day in and day out. It's one of the thing. Operations are ongoing, so basically you would be able to guess or predict in the operations there. But in project, it is not. Particularly waterfall type of project, it's a one cycle, so you need to understand that risks are more there in the projects. However, the risk need to be taken, the balancing action with the reward it pays. You cannot go ahead and take all sort of a risk there. At the same time, you cannot also say that I don't want to take any risk. You need to take a right balance, which risk to go ahead and take and which risk not, you should not take. You need to take a right balance calculation. If you go ahead and try to mitigate all the risks there, you'll be spending huge money. And remember, it's risk, it is not certain. Individual project risk and overall project risk, these are the two terms there. Individual project risk are within your project. Overall project risk are coming from the program or portfolio or something like that. It has a larger impact, there. Both of them, remember, in the individual project risk, your actions will be more important. You'll have to make the plan. Overall project risk, your responsibility could be to update appropriate agency. You may not be able to do. Maybe update the finance department, or maybe update the sales department about it. For example, if it say that, due to whatever Ukraine and Russia war continues beyond something, the customer might, go bankrupt and withdraw the thing up. You as a project manager, is beyond your control, that. So if that is there, keep the appropriate agencies updated about it. That's what is your responsibility. That's overall project. Individual projects, like if server comes late, if my resource is not able to complete the work as estimated, those are individual, you need to handle them accordingly. Risk, if they have not managed, could result into the failure of the project. And it is, here is a definition, and that's where Raju were speaking. Risk is an uncertain event or condition, if that occurs, has a positive or negative effect on one or more project objective. They are saying that, what you are going to do is, risk is an uncertain event. It has positive or negative. Remember, something good than what plant is called as a positive. Something which happened bad than the thing is called as negative. Both of these things are the risk. Aim of the risk management is to minimize the negative risk, which is called as a threat, and maximize the gain coming from that is called as positive risk. So you need to make plan for both of them. And project team need to be knowing what is the level of risk acceptable. Remember, where there is a high visibility project, where there is a, people's life coming into the picture, or a big financial issues are going to come out of it, the risk of acceptable will be very low. Organization will not be able to even think that if this project fails, what will happen. But on the other hand, if it is a small thing, people would be ready to take that risk. ठीक है, हो जाएगा, that's okay. That's why it is there. So project team need to be, if you are going to buy, an expensive electronic item, you would probably go ahead and check, what is the warranty, where is the support center and all that thing. When you are going to buy a toy, probably you will not worry about it because that is an acceptable risk in that situation. Now, some more terms. First one already explained. Risk is an uncertain event or condition that has a positive or negative impact on one or more project objective. Now, there are two things called as the residual risk and secondary risk. It's little complicated type of thing there. Kuldeep,
यस सर।
वो चैट जीपीटी में रेसिडुअल रिस्क सेकेंडरी रिस्क वाला क्वेश्चन को सर्च वाला डाल दे while I am explaining this. We'll quickly try, one or two questions on that. Okay. And the term
ठीक
what
है
you
सर।
need to ask is residual risk and secondary risk.
ओके।
Okay. So while he is doing it, let me explain it to you, friends. What they are trying to say
सर वो
is,
मुझे भी एक्सप्लेनेशन पहले सुनना है, तो पहले मैं एक्सप्लेनेशन
हाँ
सुन लूं।
चलेगा, that's fine, that's fine. So listen to me while I am doing, and then we'll do it. So now coming back to residual risk and secondary risk. See, if you believe, now we are going to take an example here. We'll take two examples rather, not only one. There is one healthcare related example, friends, and the other one will be related to the people leaving the project. So project may say someone leaving the project in between. Is that a risk, friends?
Yes.
Yes.
A
Not
critical
always.
resource leaving the thing is a risk, correct?
Hmm.
Remember, he might leave is a risk. He has put in his paper is an issue. That's not a risk. You got this point?
Risk came into the reality becomes issue.
It's an issue, correct, Swati? Now, why are we actually, हम लोग ये बोलते हैं ना इसको, बाल की खाल निकाल रहे हैं हम लोग. We are actually trying to make a difference. It's very important, Swati, for a simple reason. The way in which you handle the risk and the way in which you handle the issues are different.
Hmm.
इश्यूज यू नीड टू हैंडल अपफ्रंट, वो हो चुका है अभी. अभी प्रोबेबिलिटी चेक करने का कोई पॉइंट नहीं है.
Hmm. Right.
While risk, if it is a risk, you need to add it to the risk register, check relative importance of that risk and do that, correct?
Correct.
You should not eat, you should not drink, the tap water which is there on the railway station, correct?
Hmm.
किसी को, if he actually, in the railways, when he was traveling, suddenly कुछ उसे गले में चला है, अटक गया, नाउ दिस गाय चोकिंग, ही इज, वो पूरा ब्रेथलेस हो गया पूरा, एंड यू हैव द टैप वाटर on the station. You will advise him to drink that water or no?
Yes, we can.
Because अभी जान बचना चाहिए, सचिन, करेक्ट?
Correct.
वो बाद में देखेंगे इन्फेक्शन हो जाएगा तो कुछ तो भी किया जाएगा उसमें. आर यू गेटिंग व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट एक्शन ऑन द रिस्क डिपेंड्स ऑन द रिलेटिव रैंकिंग, करेक्ट?
Yes.
And that's what is done. And then, so issues you need to handle, whether it is high probability, low probability, nahi, it has happened now. High
Hmm.
impact, low impact, jo hai wo hai, that has happened now. You need to handle it. If it is a risk, the way in which you handle it, you add into the risk register, check the relative ranking of that risk, and then take the action on that. And that's the fundamental difference between risk and the thing there, correct?
Hmm.
Now coming to residual risk and secondary risk. Everyone here in this room, I am sure, would have taken both the shots for कोविड वैक्सीन, वो पहला वैक्सीन, वो बूस्टर वैक्सीन, वो दोनों लिया होगा ना सबने?
Yes.
लॉन्ग बैक.
Yeah.
एवरीवन नोज दैट ने.
पर वो तो डाल दिया गया था अंदर, वो
हाँ?
वो अंदर डाल दिया गया था, वो कोई ले ना ले, लगवाना ही है वो, तो ऐसा
लगवान,
सीन
हाँ,
था।
वो रेलवे स्टेशन सब जगह प्रूफ मांगते थे, तो कोई चांस ही नहीं था. नाउ बाय द वे, Kuldeep, I don't know whether you know that. Is that, do you know that, after taking both the shots, is it that you will never get caught with the corona or COVID?
सर मुझे तो
No.
हुआ था सर।
उसके बाद हुआ था ना, हाँ. बाय
हुआ
द वे,
था।
आई मीन दोज पीपल, उसको तो हुआ था, बट आर देयर मोर पीपल जिनको हुआ तो नहीं, बट दे वेर टोल्ड कि आपको फिर से हो सकता है. इज
हम्म
दैट करेक्ट सचिन?
Yes.
पैसे की बर्बादी था सर, वो सर ये
हाँ,
समय
नाउ
लगा।
पैसे की बर्बादी नहीं है. नाउ कमिंग बैक टू द टर्म हियर, लुक एट इट हियर. व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू से इन रेसिडुअल रिस्क, the risk that remains after the risk response has been implemented. We need to still
हम्म
take it till it comes to an acceptable risk. तो फिर जैसे कुलदीप बोल रहे हैं पैसे की बर्बादी क्यों किया हमने फ्रेंड्स? Because the risk of not taking it would have made you to get admitted, ventilator, even up to the death. Now the belief कुलदीप is that कि अभी होगा कोविड, बट वो स्टेज तक नहीं जाएगा. थोड़ा दवाई, थोड़ा वो क्या बोलते थे उन दिनों में, क्वारंटीन वगैरह हो गए तो काम चल जाएगा भैया. मरने वाला नहीं है तू. करेक्ट? आर यू
हम्म
गेटिंग दिस पॉइंट? यस कुलदीप.
हाँ मतलब कॉन्सेप्ट वाइज समझ गया सर, रेजिडुअल रिस्क का मतलब मैं समझ
रेसिड्यूल
गया।
बेसिकली क्या है कि इट इज आफ्टर टेकिंग द एक्शन आल्सो, इट इज नो व्हाई डिड यू टू, बिकॉज कि ठीक है ना वो वेंटिलेटर तक का बात नहीं जाएगा, सो इट इज एक्सेप्टेबल टू मी नाउ. अब आएगा तो आएगा, दैट्स ओके. दैट्स कॉल्ड एज द रेसिड्यूल रिस्क. नाउ कैन यू टेल मी दैट इफ अ पर्सन इज गोइंग टू, or you think he might leave, he is absent for so many times, his skills are very high, much high in demand, all that thing, and you are thinking that he is genuinely asking for some salary raise because of company policy, you can't give him that thing. So now you are you think that this guy might leave. Remember, residual risk and secondary risk are the actions or the terms related to your action. So first place, you tell me what would be your action about this. A guy might leave your project and it might have a higher impact on your thing. What could be your action?
बैकअप रेडी करना.
Backup, create a backup
Backup
for
ready
him.
karna. That is one possibility. Correct, Sachin?
Yes.
Swati?
यस.
Pawan, Raj?
या
Yeah. Yeah,
नॉलेज
yeah.
बेस क्रिएट करना, ट्रेनिंग एंड ऑल दैट.
Correct. So you made that plan. Knowledge gain वगैरह वो सब आपने चालू करे. First thing is probably Swati, you identified someone. ये
हम्म
जाएगा तो ये बंदा तैयार करना पड़ेगा. You can't generally do. You'll have
हम्म
to identify that and then maybe take him into the confidentiality, whatever he is doing, you keep on taking that. Now, can you tell me what is the residual risk?
वो हो सकता है कि द नेक्स्ट रिसोर्स व्हिच वी आर which is replacing the important one is not as knowledgeable or hands-on experience as the important resource who is resigning.
Are you getting this, friends? वो इंपॉर्टेंट रिसोर्स जो काम 15 दिन में करने वाला था, इसको ट्रेन करने के बाद भी 1 महीना लेगा.
या फिर उसने भी रिजाइन कर दिया आफ्टर फ्यू
नहीं,
डेज.
वो होल्ड कर सचिन. वो अपन सेकेंडरी के लिए होल्ड करते सचिन. ओके.
ओके.
सो व्हाट शी इज सेइंग कि 15 दिन में ये बंदा करने वाला, ये बंदा 30 दिन लेगा वो. देन व्हाई डिड यू डू दैट, स्वाति?
To make it
Because that is
acceptable.
an acceptable.
Hmm.
If you are not able to do it, तो फिर escalation, then you are in trouble. So कम से कम 15 दिन लेट. So maybe you will go ahead and say sorry to the customer and 15 दिन लेट you will deliver that. That's what is the residual risk. Are you getting this, friends? Sachin?
या.
Now look at it here. Secondary risk. Sachin, come back to that healthcare example, that booster vaccine, particularly the first one when you took. You remember what did that nurse who gave you the thing told? And look this definition: a risk that arises as a direct result of implementing the thing. So that you remember that at least the lady who gave me the injection, she was fairly vigilant about it.
फीवर आएगा.
फीवर
हाँ,
आएगा माइट बी.
बोला था ना उन लोगों ने,
हाँ.
हाँ
आपको शाम में फीवर आएगा, घबराने की कोई बात नहीं है, फीवर आने ही वाला है तेरे को.
2 गोली भी दिया था वो साथ
गोली भी
में.
दे दिया था. करेक्ट सचिन,
और
एग्जैक्टली.
कुछ
गोली भी दिया था, बोला कि फीवर आ गया है तो ये ले लो, घबराने की कोई बात नहीं है, इट विल बी ऑल राइट.
खाने पीने
So
के
Sachin,
रिस्ट्रिक्शंस भी
if
दिए
you
थे.
have not taken that medicine on that day, Sachin, Shishir, if you have
हम्म
not taken that medicine, शाम में दवा तो शाम में फीवर तो आने ही वाला नहीं था. ये जाके बीमारी कहाँ से लेके आया तू सचिन? Why? Because first risk was death.
या. द
नाउ दिस रिस्क इज ओके यार, थोड़ा बॉडी एक होगा, थोड़ा परेशानी होगा, पड़े रहूंगा एक दिन, गोली गोली खा लूंगा, ठीक तो हो जाऊंगा. वाई सेकंड रिस्क, यू आर एक्चुअली सी एवरीवेयर, यू आर गोइंग टू रिड्यूस द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ मेन एंड देन end up residual, means your action is not going to be complete, it is going to still leave something unattended. Secondary risk is actually coming because you have taken the first one. Everyone there? Rahul, Pawan?
Yes.
So that example of Swati, she was saying that, that the person is, and in fact rather Sachin, you as well, you are saying that, that if that particular person leaves, there are chances that वो पहला वाला तो छोड़ गया, because you have given training to this guy, ये भी बंदा कल्टी मारा. करेक्ट सचिन? इज इट
हाँ
पॉसिबल?
हाँ, काफी होता है
ऐसा
ऐसा।
होता है. नाउ रीड द सेकेंडरी रिस्क सचिन. रिस्क दैट अराइज एज अ डायरेक्ट रिजल्ट ऑफ इम्प्लीमेंटिंग. करेक्ट बड़े भाई? बड़े भाई उसको ट्रेनिंग नहीं देता था, वो जाने वाला नहीं था, अच्छा
जाने
बैठता था तेरे पास.
correct.
He is now going because you are given. That's called as a second risk. So residual and secondary, these are the two terms which are commonly used there. कुलदीप पेस्ट करेंगे उसको, देख है क्या कुछ क्वेश्चन, पहले तो आते हैं तो देखेंगे, अदरवाइज because only on one topic I was thinking, and on the risk overall we'll do, but nevertheless if something comes while those
ठीक है
things
सर,
are,
अभी देखता हूँ।
देख देख फटाक से कुछ आता है तो देखेंगे. आएंगे तो सबके ना कुछ तो रहेगा ही उसके पास. अरे कुछ
हाँ आ रहा है सर, आ गया।
एक
शेयर
मिनट,
करो
लेट
ना
मी
please.
स्टॉप शेयर. I will have to stop share, then only he will be, yeah, share it now.
ठीक है।
Yes, good. A project manager has implemented risk response strategy to mitigate known threat. After implementation, new risk arise as a result of. अरे यार ये क्या क्वेश्चन हुआ कुलदीप?
Secondary.
स्लाइड्स देखते हैं सर,
ये
ये
तो
देखते
इसका डेफिनेशन पे लिया इसने, डेफिनेशन पे नहीं जाने वाला. टू डेवलप द कंटिजेंसी फॉल आफ्टर implementing the plan, the primary risk is reduced, but a lesser but still impactful risk remain. What is the best describe of this use case?
Residual risk.
Residual, correct? Residual risk. Again, very close to the definition only, so there is nothing to worry about. देख तीसरा देख कुछ और है क्या? After consolidating quantitative risk, you identify new risk caused by the implementation of risk avoidance strategy. हाँ, अब ये strategy आपको
Second.
पढ़ाया ही नहीं तो आप शायद. The new risk has no current response. New risk has no current response strategy. What you should do first?
बी ना,
B.
बी रहेगा, रिस्क रजिस्टर में ऐड करेंगे बिकॉज इट इज न्यू वन.
That's what who is saying? Sachin?
हाँ, मतलब वही लग रहा है मुझे.
हाँ, Sachin is
नया
saying
रिस्क, नया
B1.
रिस्क है तो रिस्क रजिस्टर में ऐड करेंगे.
Correct?
सर ये भी है, किसी दूसरे के माथे पे इसको।
हाँ, बट वो स्टेप अगला है. आर यू गेटिंग? दूसरे के माथे पे वाला बराबर है, एग्जाम्पल कुलदीप, बट ये करने के पहले तेरे को बी करना पड़ेगा. करेक्ट?
ठीक है, बराबर है सर।
आफ्टर दैट वो अभी हुआ नहीं अपने को तो, so if you want to see it there, he said that add that risk in the thing and then accordingly go ahead and make the plan around there. So that's very clear. B is add the risk as the second risk which has come, and then obviously the moment it comes into the risk register, you need to make appropriate plan for that. So that's good. That's an interesting thing. Let me come back. Is that okay? I will come back, Kuldeep.
या
Yeah. So
क्वेश्चन बढ़िया नहीं था,
हाँ,
क्वेश्चन जोरदार नहीं था।
हाँ, मजा नहीं आया उसमें, वो पहला बहुत अच्छा मजा आया था, बट एनीवे डोंट वरी. Okay, risk appetite is another word which is basically an ability or a tolerance of the stakeholder. See, in some projects, did you notice that stakeholders are ready to take lot of risk, है ना? And in some project they are just not ready to take any risk. Have you seen those two type of customers?
यस,
Now that's called as a risk appetite. Why should you know risk appetite?
Complexity of the project.
Complexity of the project. Yes.
To
Raj,
understand at what, I mean, what level we should accept.
good.
Um,
Now, so Raj, you are going to evaluate impact of the risk, correct?
Hmm.
For say, for sorting them, you need to identify impact, correct, friend? Yes, Raj?
Yeah, correct.
yeah.
For you to know what is the impact, do you need to know what is the appetite of the stakeholder? Is it related there?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct, Raj?
Yes.
What you think is not very important. Now that guy thinks यार it is important. तुम क्या कर सकते हो उसको?
Hmm.
You develop the whole system, and only for one particular part, Raj said that ये पूरा this we have given you functionalities which are much brilliant, and that this only एक small functionality है, उसके लिए आपको report download करके you have to do it in Excel. Are you realizing this is Raj's interpretation about it? Download करके Excel में करना पड़ेगा. That's what he's thinking. That guy doesn't necessarily think like that, huh, Raj? Are you getting it?
Yeah.
He might come back and say that कि राज तूने अभी तक जो किया है ना वो पूरा वेस्ट था, मेरे को किसी काम का नहीं है तेरे लिए. Why? Because risk appetite. You need to understand their risk appetite. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes, friends. Is that making sense?
Yes.
That, and this is different for different individuals. You know that, isn't it?
Correct.
And that's why you need to know it. Don't go with your own assumption about it. Now, this known, unknown, and all that thing, I think we spoke, but let me go ahead and explain. Did we spoke about this in the cost
Yeah, we
chapter?
did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did it. So just repeat it quickly, because if someone has forgotten, there are type of actions which are known, which is going to happen. You are also knowing when it is going to happen. If that is there, it is not coming under the chapter called as risk. Risk chapter number 11 is not the place for that. For known knowns, which means you know what is going to happen, you know when it is going to happen, then do the plan. Create the WBS, make the schedule, plan the cost, assign the resources. So पूरा काम करो, plan करो. Don't even call it as a risk. It is not a risk. That's going to happen. Identify and plan the risk. This is for known unknowns, which means you as a project manager are able to think, or you would are worried about a finite points. यूक्रेन रशिया वाला लड़ाई जो है ना, that doesn't come into known unknown, because you are too small guy to decide about that thing. But for example, if my server doesn't come on time, for example, if suddenly my critical resource leaves the thing, now you need to make a plan around it. It is not your boss's responsibility. It's called a known, because you know who could leave. What is unknown is that whether he will really leave or not is unknown. You need to make a plan for that, and that's where this is handled as a risk. What do you do about them? Identify the risk, analyze the risk, and plan for the risk. This is your job. All the money which you are going to use for this is called as the contingency resource. These are planned activity, these are contingency resource. Apart from that, there are unknown unknowns, which means there are few things which you can't even think about it. However, they could happen. If that is happening, the boss need to go ahead and keep the pockets little deeper, which means if you are asking for 40 lakhs, he will go ahead and keep 42 lakhs in his pocket. These are for these unknown unknowns, which means you are not able to think, even he is not able to think about it, even he is not able to think about it. So obviously, but it could happen. तो अब क्या होगा कुछ पता नहीं. Additional 2 lakhs he has kept as a reserve. That's called as a management reserve. Contingency reserves are line item. If server doesn't come on time, these 10,000 rupees are kept for that. If this guy leaves project in between, I have kept a reserve for 1 lakh. For everything under the contingency reserve, there has to be a reason for which you are worried, and then a money assigned for that. Management resource is not like that. It is unknown unknowns which are there. So that was, one of the things. Remember, friends, this type of representation is also called as, it's called as a matrix diagram also in data representation. इन लोगों ने यूज नहीं किया है, but they call it as Johari window. Have you heard this?
Yes.
Yes.
Johari window. Called as, there were two people called as John and Harry. So
Hmm.
those people put together, put this theory. You are trying to show, 4 possibilities on the X and Y diagram. That's called a Johari window. The Johari window type of representation is this. You might obviously, might get some question on Johari window as well. Some concepts, understanding the project risk in the larger context is very important. Sometimes the risk may not be so much matter of worry for you for your project, but in the larger, for the program, it might have a bigger impact. So you have to always consider. There are two type of risk. Traditionally, it was, non-event risk, which means something might happen or may not happen. The server will crash or it will not crash. But new things, there are non-event risk are also about not at the same pace or quality. Server will not crash, but it will operate at a very sub speed. It is working at, extremely low speed. Those type of things. So non-event risks are variability on ambiguity. Where variability means something is not running as fast as possible. Ambiguity means, something might happen or not happen. So those are some of the, theories there which are there. You might use the Monte Carlo analysis. You remember in the schedule chapter 2 weeks back, we spoke about Monte Carlo, where you can change multiple input parameter and check the impact of the onto output. So for example, if my, if experience of the resources is from 3 year to 5 year, then the automation time is so different parameter, and say that what is the impact, what is the acceptable risk out of it, you will be able to calculate. Monte Carlo will always need an automated computer aided tool to do that. Basically, here you will say that if I change this input parameter, what are the chances that I will be able to complete the project on time, or what are the chances that I will be able to complete the project on budget. Those outputs you will try to check by changing the input, and then say that these are not acceptable. More than 40 million is out of question. So all the combination of input for that more than 40 million, you will say that no, I'm not going to take this particular route. Unknown knowables, that we have seen it. You need to provide the contingency reserves which are over and above the risk budget. Process should be flexible to accommodate the actions to be taken on such a risk. Empowerment of the team is very important for doing this thing. Keeping a close eye on the early sign. This is called as a risk trigger. Have you heard this word, risk trigger?
Yeah, there may be some sort of event after which the event can occur.
Could happen. Correct. Exactly. So basically, for before server crashing, you will find that the CPU utilization will go drastically high. Correct?
Yeah.
So don't wait for the server to crash. Keep an eye onto the put a alert. And if my CPU utilization crosses 80%, I should get a message. I will not wait for customer to come back and say that system crash ho gaya. I will come to know early there, and that's what he's trying to say there. Keeping stakeholder aware and set their expectation. That's very important. Sometimes customers are not happy about the bad news, but the fact that you have not updated them before. So keeping them aware reduces the वो जोरों का झटका धीरे से लगे. That's what would happen with this impact. And integrate the risk management in program and portfolio. As I told you, something might have an impact onto the program. So always you need to be in sync with those people and keep on updating them periodically. Tailoring, you should do it on the basis of the project size. A small Excel spreadsheet as a risk register would be good for a small project, but for a big one, you'll have to probably use a tool. Jira, I think, has a feature of risk register, isn't it? Has someone used Jira for that? Hello? Anyone using Jira
Not for this.
for this?
Not
But
yeah.
Jira has,
रहता सर आसाना में सब में रहता है सर ये
हाँ, बहुत सारे इसमें. It's a very simple functionality there. So what we are trying to say is that छोटे प्रोजेक्ट के लिए Excel spreadsheet से काम चल जाएगा. Don't unnecessarily complicate. For a bigger one, you will need a integrated workflow वाला system लगेगा. I remember in Takem, at least in the last part of my career, they were developing an internal tool for this. So all the project managers will go ahead and create the risk. They were going into the central database there. So very complicated. You need to tailor your processes. Complexity of the project. If it is a new technology, some innovation related project, obviously risk need to be handled, more carefully. Visibility, extremely visible projects, you can't take any chance to go, bad there. And risk management to be customized to develop the life cycle which is agile or waterfall. In agile, you will not go ahead and make a detailed risk register. Risk will be identified, spoken into the daily scrum meeting, and probably handled like that. In waterfall, you will have to handle the whole thing in a structured way. In case of agile, it makes frequent reviews. Very important. That's what is there. Cross-functional teams are there. You need to do a frequent review with them, preferably in the daily stand-up meeting. Risk identification should be done also when selecting the iteration scope. We remember that word called as backlog refinement, correct, friends? You remember this word? So when you are doing backlog refinement, you are identifying the risk in that particular thing.
तो
And what is
ग्रूमिंग वही होता
backlog?
है बैकलॉग ग्रूमिंग और रिफाइनमेंट सेम था ना
Yes.
Hello, you said something.
I said backlog refinement and backlog grooming.
They are same, correct. They are the synonym, correct, exactly. So what this point is saying, Kuldeep, he is saying that कि जब product backlog में when some item comes, उसका risk identify करने की जरूरत नहीं. Don't do it there. Do it when you are taking from product backlog into the sprint backlog, correct? Yes, correct. Is that right?
बराबर है सर.
Yeah. Product backlog is reprioritization, and that's what. So it is there. Now comes to the strategy process called as plan risk management. What is element 21? Yeah, I think we should be able to complete this and second one, and then we'll take a coffee break. This process will help you to define the risk management process proportionate to both the risk and importance of the project and other thing. It is saying how much of the risk management should be done is plan risk management will tell. Ignoring the risk is bad thing, absolutely, but over attention is also bad. Giving too much of importance to risk is not the right thing to be done there. That fine line, that fine point, you need to decide which one is there. Risk management process should start at the early part of the project. Major risks are also identified as a charter. Remember, in the charter, there was one thing called as a major risk in the project. So, and they are absolutely at the top level, it is sponsors level. So those lists are identified there also. And when you are identifying stakeholder, you might come across the risk. So at that time, you might register into an issue log or whatever, and then down the line, populate, once you are making the risk register. Risk management plan is made, which becomes part of the main project plan. Inputs well known to all of us. OPS, organizational risk policy, category, risk register. In most of the situation, risk register is already there in your internal knowledge management portal. You are supposed to be downloading and using it for your project there. Tools and techniques, obviously making any plan will need an expertise. So expertise is there. Analyzing the need for the risk management, risk stakeholder analysis. So stakeholder analysis is very important. As I told you that risk appetite for you to, the risk, whether, delay in delivering a project by 15 days. That looks to be a very finite statement. 15 दिन से project delay हुआ. Now on one project, this could be a big crime. In some other project, it could be, it's okay, yaar, chalta hai 15 दिन delay. Now, why is that? That's where stakeholder analysis will come. What is their ability or what is their appetite about the risk? And you need to do the analysis, stakeholder analysis, so that then you realize what is their appetite, and then it will decide what is the impact to be calculated. And meetings are required for making such a plan. Output risk management plan. What is your strategy? What is the methodology to identify? Will you do the interviews? Will you do the workshops? Will you go ahead and use the prior similar project wala risk register or copy karke you will do that? What is the method by which you are identifying? How are you going to analyze? Will you identify it by impact and probability, or you will go ahead and calculate something called as directly as high risk, low risk, medium? Kaisa karna hai? What do you want to do? Plan. What are the roles in the risk management? Are there funds reserved? There is a funds reserved for the risk. So how much is there? That is also documented in risk management plan. How often you are going to do re-identification of the risk and reanalysis. You have to do it periodically. Only the risks which were identified at the start of the project, down the line you might come across some more risk. Some of the risks which you have identified in the beginning might become irrelevant with time as well. Both these things are possible. So what frequently you are going to do it? definition of scale and probability and impact, as scale for probability and impact. Remember, for example, probability. Some of the companies might call it as, 10% to 90%. So this is one of the way, another company, and with the step of 10. Another company might say, we'll call it only as 25%, 50%, 75%, and 99%. Why 99? I'm speaking of probability. Why not 100?
सर
That
फिर
it
तो
become
probability नहीं ना वो, फिर तो
Yes.
certainty हो जाएगा.
हाँ, certain. तो it will become, it's an issue. फिर
issue.
risk register में उसका कोई काम नहीं. So you can't call it. Now this is another way of looking at, but not necessary. They, sometimes probability के लिए, some people use a thing very rare, rare, often, and seldom तो वहां जाएगा, almost, always, almost all. Someone might use this scale. Are you getting this?
Hmm.
What this slide is saying, that scale you decide into the risk management plan. When you identify the risk, use that scale to, do the impact of it. Are you getting impact and probability? How are you going to give the number? That scale you are going to decide here, not the probability anymore, because you are not identified the risk yet. We are making a plan. It's a strategy. It's not actual what part of it. It is how part of probability and impact metrics. I will explain it to you in the third process there. And reporting formats. If you are, report, how are you going to report the risk and what are the tracking mechanism for them? Then comes identify risk, identification and documenting the project risk so that to plan for the prevent the issues from threats and maximize the benefits from opportunities. As we have already spoken, bad thing you should avoid so that you reduce your losses because of that. But at the same time, you should work hard so that you get maximum benefit out of the good things. Whatever is going to happen good. For example, if you are able to, you say that your team might finish some work earlier, you might go ahead and plan the rooms. Are you getting this, friends? I mean, training agar आपने plan किया 15 days ahead of the time, you might do the training. So it really got completed, and that day you went to the infrastructure or training department and told them, say that कि वो हमारे लोग के लिए ना थोड़ा, our people are there, we don't need your trainer, रूम दे दो हमारे लोगों को ट्रेनिंग है. नाउ दोस पीपल माइट कम बैक एंड से, कुलदीप यू डिड टेल मी दैट अहेड यार, हमने वो रूम दे दिया कहीं पे और ऑलरेडी. कुड दैट हैपन? यस, you are ready, your material is ready, your team members are ready, and they say that कि अभी नहीं, रूम नहीं है. Yes, Sachin?
Yeah, could happen.
Yeah.
Now, which is the better way to, what was the better way Sachin would think handle this?
Inform them and prior.
When you thought that ये 15 दिन पहले हो सकता है, tell them, say कि ऐसा हो सकता है, keep that room blocked with me, and every 15 days check, मेरा cancel हुआ तो मैं आपको बोल दूंगा. Now you would be able to convert that into the benefit, otherwise you will not be able to. Are you getting it? What I am trying to say is that जो अच्छा होता है, भगवान तुम्हारा जब अच्छा करेगा राहुल, तो you should be ready to catch that ना.
Yes.
And it is always possible that there was someone who was not able to convert that into his blessing. Correct?
Right.
वो बेचारा भगवान भी क्या कर लेगा फिर ऐसे आदमी के साथ. करेक्ट राहुल? Yes, are you getting my point? What I'm trying to say, you are not able to convert that opportunity into the benefit, and that's what you are identifying. Identifying could be done in involve appropriate stakeholders is very important. The people who are working on ground, those are good stakeholders to identify the risk. Appropriate customer representatives, appropriate sales team, all those people, appropriate people should be there. Otherwise, you will identify the risk and there's Those should be competent guys, to do that. Involving project team is very important because they are the one who are finally going to work on ground. This is a very funny statement. I don't think this is documented in PMBOK, but based of my wisdom, I have written rather than saying in the risk statement, people leaving the project. Now, if you make that type of statement, then people leaving the project or attrition as the word into the thing, it will not lead you to appropriate action. But rather than that, if you write a detailed statement saying that, for example, it is saying that first part of it is saying what is the reason. So say that due to heavy demand in the cloud architecture thing, now that's the reason. It might, my solution architect might leave the project. That's the effect and result. And because of that, my project might get delayed by 1 month. Are you realizing we didn't say that someone leaving the thing? We are saying because heavy demand in the cloud architecture field, my solution architect might leave and my project will get delayed by 1 month. Such a long statement. Is there any benefit of writing such a long statement?
Yes.
Yes.
And what's that?
Severity we are making from high to low.
Correct. What else? What else, Raj? More pointed action. Are you getting, Raj?
Yeah.
मैं बीमार पड़ सकता हूं. What will you carry? पैरासिटामोल ले जाओगे या मुंह ले जाओगे? क्या लेके जाओगे? ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर ले जाओगे? But if you say, because I am traveling into high altitude zone due to lack of the oxygen there, I might get into that high altitude sickness. अब पूरा लंबा हो गया तो पता चले कि बॉस अब मुंह वगैरह का काम नहीं है, ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर ले जाना पड़ेगा. Is that making sense, Raj? A detailed statement will take you to the pointed corrective action. Yes? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Very clear. Yeah. And prelim risk response. So that's there. These are the inputs which are well known to all of us who have seen it time and again. This is another important, OPA checklist from previous similar project. In all the companies, do you have in your company? I don't know if you have, but in TechM at least we had different list of the risks saying that, typical risk for the implementation project, typical risk for the consulting project, typical risk for the development project. ऐसे एक standard list था, and that was, available in our quality management system. So if you are starting a project in that area, go ahead and download it from there. तो आपको एक standard list तो मिल जाता था पक्का. Have you seen such practice in your company? I mean, sure, at least few of you would have similar thing in your company. Is that there? Correct? Is that OPA there?
Yeah,
Yes,
yes, yeah.
it's very common, isn't it? So
Right.
that's what he's saying. You need to take that list. Remember, don't go ahead and copy paste मत करना उसके शीशे ना. It's risky. Copy paste तो बिल्कुल गलत practice है, but it will certainly help you to populate your risk register. It will also help that, by mistake you don't miss anything. Correct?
Yes.
That's the purpose. उतना ही useful है, उससे ज्यादा don't get into that. So those are the OPAs which are commonly available. Identifying risk, you need expertise. It is, what are the risks in developing a new website? If that guy himself is not knowing anything about it, he will not be the right person to answer the thing. You will have to speak to a lot of people, either do the brainstorming or checklist, as I told you, prior projects experiences you take, to the interview with some more technical experts and all that thing, and gather as much data so that they will tell you what are the possible risks they think. Analyze that thing for root cause analysis. The stakeholders, several stakeholders said that, that our current system, simply crash at every month end. That is one of the things. Risk register, man, they have said that our system is crashing, at the every month end, it actually crashes. You'll have to probably do root cause analysis. System is crashing. It could be because of hardware issues. It could be because of the software issues. It could be because of the power issues. It could be because of whatever, administration. Then keep on doing. root cause analysis, assumptions, SWOT. Everyone know this SWOT? What is this? Yes, anyone knows this? Strengths,
Yes.
Weaknesses,
hmm, opportunities rather,
Right.
and threats. SWOT. Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Basically, what they are trying to say, whatever is your project, look into your own project. So for example, Kuldeep is going to give this PMP as a exam. Now there are certain strengths there and certain opportunities. Strengths means, yes, I'm good at study, and he might say that, my commitment is good. That's the strength which is there. Opportunities that my company might demand this type of skill. So opportunities. Strengths are internal, opportunities are external enabling. These are strength and opportunity are enablers. They are helping you to do that thing better. On the other hand, weaknesses and threats are other way around. Weakness means internal limitation, and threats means external limitation. So SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. This could be done anytime, anywhere. Correct, friends?
Yes.
Yes. And that's what they are trying to say. Use the SWOT analysis to identify the risk. All the S and O, strength and opportunity, will bring in opportunities or positive risk. Weaknesses and threats will bring negative risk. And that's how you need to do it. Document analysis, as I told you, taking the prior risk register, lessons learned, and read those documents and check, are there anything which could go wrong or different than what I planned. While doing this, interpersonal skills are commonly required for all of them. I will tell you here what happens is that there are individual biases when I identify the risk. Some people talk a lot about, even when they are not, it is not so much important, but wo bahut sara they will talk a lot. At the same time, I am sure you would have realized there are some people who never talk. Have you seen that? जो जरूरत है वहां पे भी बात नहीं करेंगे बोला. Is it? Do you have any team members like that? बात करना ये तब भी बात नहीं करते, वो चुपचाप बैठे रहते हैं. And there is another guy who talks where there is no need to talk. Have you came across those stakeholders? Yes, Sachin.
Yes, yes, Sanjay.
Very common, isn't it? Now, what they are trying to see, if you have a good interpersonal and team skills, you would be able to judge this. Correct, Sachin?
Yes.
कुछ लोगों को ना 4 बार पूछ के you need to get their input. Some people are so extrovert, they will keep on saying. तो तेरे को उसका कट डाउन करना पड़ता है बाद में. Correct? Have you seen it?
Correct.
You need to have interpersonal skills. That's what is what they are trying to say. Here, then comes prompt list. As I told you, the standard list which is there in the company. In the worldwide, they have given 3 frameworks. PESTEL stands for political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental. So for a given project, when you are doing the brainstorming, first of all, tell them, let us speak what are all the political risks to our project. What are all economical risks to our project? What are the social risks to our project? What are the technological risks, legal and environmental? If you use this as a pre-created list, this is there. Otherwise, TechOp, which is technical, environmental, commercial, operational, or political. VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complexity, and basically it is allowing you to streamline your thinking. When you sit there and ask the teams in it, what all do you think could go wrong? People will come up with their own creativity. Someone will say that our estimate might go, and someone will say that customer might go bankrupt. So many things. So how do you group them? You could group it in one of these 3 things. This type of groupings are called as RBS, risk breakdown structure. This is risk breakdown structure. However, friends, I'm sure you would recollect that yesterday also we spoke about the same short form called as RBS. What was the long form of that?
सर यही तो था।
नहीं, कल वाला जो था इट वाज कॉल्ड एज अ रिसोर्स ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर,
ओ
है ना। मैन पावर, नॉन मैन पावर, हार्डवेयर, सॉफ्टवेयर, लाइसेंस था ना वो, करेक्ट, याद है ना।
Yeah, I
हाँ
read.
याद आ गया सर।
हाँ, तो आरबीएस दो है, बट आरबीएस इज वन इज रिस्क ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर, अदर वन इज अ रिसोर्स ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर. रिमेंबर फ्रेंड, ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर वेर एवर दे आर देयर. देर इज वन मोर डब्ल्यूबीएस. हाँ सॉरी, मैं बोल ही दिया, डब्ल्यूबीएस है ना, ये भी ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर है, वर्क ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर, करेक्ट. व्हाट इज द एडवांटेज ऑफ ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर बाय द वे?
Helps in monitoring and controlling.
हाँ, मॉनिटर एंड कंट्रोल, यस. हु वाज दिस? सचिन?
Pawan sir.
पवन, हाँ. एनीवन एल्स? एनी आइडिया?
Focusing on the list component, like
Correct. So you don't forget anything, isn't it? Are you
सर
getting this?
क्वेश्चन क्वेश्चन क्या था, सॉरी सर मैं।
My question is that what is the advantage of using these breakdown structures? The advantage of that is that you don't miss anything by mistake. Remember, ये structures could be anyway. By the way, grocery के लिए is there? Oh, there it would be what? Material breakdown structure हो जाएगा शायद. अजीब चीज हो रहा है. But is there a breakdown structure for monthly demand वाला purchase वाला list? Could there be a structure, breakdown structure?
Yes.
Yes, Sachin, what will be those items?
सर बजट ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर हो सकता
हाँ, आई मीन बजट
है।
बजट पर्पज अलग हो जाएगा, बट इसमें देख, ग्रोसरी,
The grocery,
कॉस्मेटिक्स,
cosmetics,
ईटेबल्स, ये
eatables,
सब ऐसा ब्रेक कर, क्या होगा, यू विल नॉट फॉरगेट एनीथिंग, करेक्ट. आर यू गेटिंग दिस फ्रेंड्स? आर यू गेटिंग द एडवांटेज ऑफ दैट?
Yes.
Now, Swati, very funny is that there are multiple ways. It doesn't matter. Breakdown structure doesn't matter. It should bring in everything there. For example, we go to a specific DMart. That is our very, it's a known place to us. It is close to us and all that thing. हमारा उसका breakdown structure जो है ना, it is very funny. We say that first floor के right wing, left wing, ground floor का left wing, right wing. ये breakdown structure है.
Hmm.
बिकॉज वी आर सो फैमिलियर अबाउट दैट स्ट्रक्चर कि वो लिया तो मुझे याद आ जाता है कि हाँ, यहां से ये लेना है. स्ट्रक्चर्स आर ओनली हेल्पिंग यू टू रिमेंबर द थिंग्स प्रॉपरली. गलती से कुछ भूल ना जाओ. इट कुड बी एनीथिंग, करेक्ट.
Yeah.
So that's what is there. So these are pre-created things, pestle tech of VUCA. They are called as RBS, risk breakdown structures. And in the structure, you need to populate the values. Structure is only, meetings are called as risk workshop. It could be in the form of brainstorming, and right stakeholders should be involved there. And output is called as a risk register. So new risk identification. How do you identify? You should give a unique ID to each of the risks and potential risk. All those things you will be doing, and an output called as risk register will come. There could be an output called as risk report. How much is the total risk? See, when the sponsor asks you saying that, can you please summarize what are the risks to your project? You can't make a copy of that whole risk register and send it to him saying that, boss, ye dekh lo, isme sab likha hai. You can't. You'll have to make a consolidated report out of that, and that's what he's trying to say. So risk report and some updates. That takes care of, if I look into the larger picture, we have seen plan risk response and identify risk and those initial concepts. What we have not done is these 5 there, which we'll do post our coffee break. But before that, any question in anyone's mind?